The opinions expressed in this show are solely the opinions of the speaker and do not reflect the opinion of RFR or any affiliates. RadioLiveRadio.com.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it! Is that clear? You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations, there are no peoples, there are no Russians, there are no Arabs, there are no third worlds, there is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immense, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rands, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today.
All right, go to it.
God, every time I hear that music, I get fired up. It's another episode of Ron to the Hills here. I'm Ron, and with me is...
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
Well, Don is kind of angry tonight, but
no,
I mean,
I'm not angry.
You know, what else is new? I'd be angry too, man. Top news of the night, man. Teflon Clinton can't be touched. She cannot be touched, man.
I will say, go ahead,
dude.
I called it.
You
said no. They're gonna indict her.
I thought there was a hope. Okay, I'm sorry. I was optimistic. You were right, Mr. Pessimist.
Yeah. Well, it's not pessimism, man. It's just the way things work.
She had, dude. Did you watch any of the of Comey's little speech?
I listened to it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, he definitely had that look like, yeah, she was guilty. We're not going to, no reasonable prosecutor would touch this case.
Because then I might end up with a bullet in the back of my head.
I mean, I skipped ahead of the intro because, that's how we do around here. But we got a new phone number this week. This week, phone number 757-320-4510.
That's it. You want to call it? Call it in.
Yeah. We also got the Skype, Ronnie.Hills. Should we introduce,
Yeah, we got Paul Salo coming on tonight. Hey, he's the guy that originated the crowdfunding campaign to essentially fly 747 into a skyscraper and see if the physics holds true to the
official
9/11
story.
event.
The official story of 9/11, right? And then what we saw on 9/11. I'm looking forward to talking to him because he's got more videos on his YouTube page than just that one, but that one's probably the most eye-catching of them, if you will.
Yep.
He's got some pretty good points on Brexit and what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks. And
yeah, man. When I first heard about it, I was like, man, this needs to happen. I mean, what do you think, man?
See, so
I'm pretty convinced I know what's going to happen. Essentially nothing.
What? So, do you think that the plane's going to hit the building and just kind of like crumple, or do you think that the plane is going to just, fly into it? That was some pretty good graphics there, by the way.
I think what?
You missed it's
all right,
stream,
man. I don't know. I guess some of it will probably get in there, right? I mean, it's the engines at least, right?
Maybe. You would think at that speed, though, that the plane is going, that, most of the plane would just kind of...
Yeah, it is mostly aluminum, but the engines are pretty solid, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, Mr. Salo, he's convinced enough to actually try to get this thing funded and do this. So there's at least one person. I don't know, man. I'm 50-50 on this experiment, because if this experiment fails, and then it's just kind of like, well, shit, I have to believe what the government says about 9/11 now.
Man, I guess you don't have to believe exactly what they say about it. I mean, there's still lots of things to do at 9/11 other than the controlled demolition theory.
Yeah.
Hijackers turning up alive.
The
Able
entire
danger.
15 years of foreign policy since then.
True.
The erosion of our rights.
Yeah, they pretty much had our foreign policy all ready to go to roll out as soon as something happened. So, PNAC, Project for a New American Century.
Didn't we talk about them a while back? Yeah. Good old Kathy Cruz. Is that her name?
I'm going to go ahead and see if I can
cares?
get Paul up on the horn here.
Yeah, all right. You go ahead and call him in.
Whoa.
That Skype there is quite bad. Oh.
Well, we'll have to try him back later.
All right, man. So
It looks like he just got on.
Oh,
He must have just missed it. So, let me give you a quick breakdown. So he's got a plan. He wants to fly the thing in there and put cameras everywhere, kind of see what's going on, put cameras inside of the building and everything. He's trying to crowdfund it, but he just can't get the banks to pick it up.
The banks, he can't get sites to pick it up.
Yeah,
Indiegogo?
any kind of financial institutions.
Yeah, Indiegogo, every time he's popped up on Indiegogo, they've shut him down, and they've said you can't post fake ideas or, non-realistic ones.
Right.
Let me go ahead and find that actual quote there, because it's kind of messed up when I was reading through it, because it really just seems like the institutions and these people are just not, they don't want this to happen.
See if we can get him this time. Looks like he's on now. Sorry, guys. Cool. All right. Well, hopefully he'll call in when he gets whatever is holding them up together. So, yeah, let's check out. So, Indiegogo removes ghastly $1.5 million campaign to recreate 9/11. Like, it's such a horrible thing what he's trying to do. I mean, the building's going to be demolished anyway. The planes are going to be scrapped, essentially, anyway.
Yeah, but bro, the kids, man, the kids and the ads.
So, I mean, I guess they're looking at it from the standpoint of, yep, it's gonna completely demolish that building into a tiny little pile. So,
well, and in September we do have the 15th year anniversary coming up.
That's true.
And so, there's going to be all this big hoopla about it again, and we'll just go back to forgetting
it's
about.
It's too bad this couldn't have rolled out a little sooner to coincide with the 15th anniversary.
Well, you never know. There's still 2 months between now and then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, 2 months is.
Right now, it's I was hoping to let him explain a little bit, but right now it's not looking good for the crowdfunding angle. Like we said, they pick it up and then drop it.
So sad. So sad. Oh, man. So his $5,000 reward would have been a front row seat. For donors of $5,000 or more, you are welcome to attend the event, record anywhere you like inside the plane or building, see the actual event live, and get a special early release recording from our film crew. You'll also be able to mix with like-minded people and enjoy the event. Massive interest in this event, and you'll be there. You must purchase... I'm done talking about that. There were 75 of those, though.
See, my main question I wanted to ask him was the cleanup. I mean, because obviously from an official story standpoint, there's going to be a giant mess if it's anything like 9/11. Tons of dust clouds, cancerous dust cloud in the air.
Yeah, well, that's why I hope. Well, hopefully he does this out in the countryside where there's nobody around and they don't have to worry about the after effects of that.
Right. Well, I mean, where's there a skyscraper in the countryside?
That you got me, man. Maybe.
So anyway, we got the plan. You want to roll the plan for us? All right. So we're gonna stream out the plan for you guys to take a look at. Like I said, basically, he's got two scenarios in there. One is where they're gonna have a pilot take it off the ground and parachute out, and then pilot it remotely, right? The other one scenario is they want to do it completely remote. So
I would hope he would do that completely remotely, just for the fact of like you're saving a possible negative situation.
Right, that's true, but maybe there's an issue with
the logistics behind it. Yeah, I don't know anything about flying planes and taking off and
remotely. Yeah, I don't know much about that. So and then he's got let's see.
Is that the picture right there?
Yeah, that's part of the plan. Yeah, he hasn't released this publicly yet. I think it's just a draft version. Looks like 5th draft or something like that. So
it looks like he's got schematics breaking down of how, like...
Yeah, the actual impact, the angle, all that. He's got all that laid out. Where in the building they want to hit, and essentially just trying to get as close to 9/11 as he can.
So he wants to prove 9/11. No?
Well, it's kind of conflicting because you watch his videos. One of them, I don't know. I guess that's essentially the main reason. I don't know. He said that there's several reasons that he lists to why he would want to do this experiment. To gain insight, to help prevent future catastrophes through engineering and stuff of buildings. I mean, to me, all that is irrelevant because I'm pretty convinced of what this is. And, as long as everything's legitimate, I really don't see anything happening but that plane smashing apart and either flying into that building and smashing apart.
Yeah, I mean,
I could definitely see the wings doing some damage.
But the building shouldn't come down, no? Outside of a controlled explosion somewhere in the building.
Outside of the controlled explosion somewhere in the building, it shouldn't come down. Because there's another video that we put out on our Facebook page. This guy did an experiment where he took these concrete. He essentially made a small
scale model.
It's not really an exact replica though. It's just to demonstrate the physics in it and how it was exploding outward. It was like an up and out type effect instead of a downward and inward, like the pancake collapse.
Okay. Which I guess that makes more sense because, that's always been my number one question is how does that building pancake like that from damage done to an upper part of it? I never quite understood that, but then again, I don't really know much about gravity and the way things happen,
Right.
Explosions and all that nonsense.
Well, essentially the building fell at free fall speed. Very close to it.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but very close to it.
So what exactly does that mean?
As the floors impact each other, it creates more resistance. So it'll slow down.
Okay.
And either stop or just slow down dramatically before it gets to the ground. If the floors collapsing into each other is really what it did. But you can actually kind of watch it accelerate a little bit, the top, as it gets exploded down. You know what I mean? Like, they're saying the top floors created so much force on those bottom floors it just plowed through it like it wasn't there.
I don't know anything about architecture, man. I mean, it could be a design flaw, but just I don't know. The way that everything turned out after 9/11, it just, to me, it's always been something off, always. And there was a certain sect of our government that got what they wanted to, and neither side of our government has overturned those restrictions that have been placed on us. The TSA is not going away since we've had a Democrat in office, right?
Right.
Homeland Security is getting bigger and bigger each year.
Right. Now you're gonna get your gun rights taken away if you're being watched in any way.
I don't know. And that's where it seems to me it's like, okay, you have a certain part of this government that say that 9/11 was an inside job. Say you believe that. Now you start looking at other events in this country, and you've got to start kind of questioning them and saying, well, especially the Orlando shooting.
Right.
For example, there was just too many coincidental civil rights topics that were being discussed at that point that intersected.
Yeah, well, you got the whole. Well, it's for
you had a Muslim
now.
in a gay club with an assault rifle.
It really confused everyone, didn't it?
Like, dude, it was kind of confusing to me because it was like, well, I thought Muslims stoned all gay people. Maybe they just get stoned with gay people?
Until they give them AIDS.
Probably, man. I seen some on CNN the other day, and it was talking about how there was this Muslim scholar on there who said that the Quran doesn't actually say that extremists get 72 virgins when they go to heaven if they do a good deed. He said it's like 40 nights is the actual translation. I don't know, man. I got nothing here. Old Mr. Salo, please give us a call. 757-320-4510. Or you can call in if you've got any questions for us about 9/11, Hillary Clinton.
Anything you guys want to talk about?
Man, we got a bunch of news lined up. We can go right on into that, but I'm just not really feeling that.
Man,
we had another Black Lives Matter event. That's the way that I'm going to say this. So there's another video going around of an African American male being killed by the police, and I'm tired of watching these. I'm not going to say right or wrong in this situation. I will say that at one point you can watch this video and you'll see the cop saying he's got a gun and this guy wants to fight two cops. Would you fight two cops, Don?
No. No way, dude.
Still in your
no
pocket.
way I'm fighting no cop, man.
The thing is, though, this is where we've got to be careful because we're white dudes and we're talking about this. And if you'll notice in this video, the only white people are the police officers in this one.
So we're not allowed to tell people that.
No, man. So, all right. Alton Sterling, a 37-year-old man who sold CDs, was shot and killed by a Baton Rouge police officer Tuesday morning outside a convenience store on North Foster Drive after some type of altercation with two officers, officials said. Baton Rouge police did not provide much information about what escalated the event between the officers and Sterling or what prompted an officer to fire his weapon. A witness, however, described police as aggressive and said Sterling was armed but not holding his gun or touching his pockets during the incident. Police later retrieved a gun from the man's pocket, said the witness. I'm not going to go over the exact details. I mean, around 12:35, Baton Rouge police showed up at a store.
What I heard was they had video of the dude laying on the ground when the guns were being fired.
I mean, we can watch this video. Is there any way that we can get that up on the YouTube here?
No, we can't do that. That's not a video. That's a clip show.
Yeah. You're right.
That's over at where did you find this? theadvocate.com.
Yeah. I found this one on Reddit, to be honest with you. This is the highest rated one talking about it because it was the local coverage. That video is graphic, though, man. Because that video is exactly like you explained it. It looks like the police have him down and have him subdued, and then they shoot him in the back.
Jesus Christ, man.
And this right here is why issues of white privilege and Black Lives Matter, they happen, man. Because you don't see this shit happening to white people. That right there is white privilege, man. If you and I were out front of 7-Eleven selling CDs at 12:35 a.m. and we got into an altercation with a cop, how do you think it ends?
It just depends, man. I'm pretty sure if I pull a gun on a cop, he'd fucking shoot me, but I don't think he's going to lay me on the ground and shoot me in the back.
Well, what if the cops were aggressive? What if they were, being just straight dickheads about it? And we're like, we're going to find something on you because it's 12:35 at night. Who sells CDs at this time? Realistically, that's probably what started this altercation. Is they probably thought he was selling drugs. They found that he was just selling CDs. They were taking his shit. They were probably going to throw his stuff on the ground. Destroying the CDs in there. He got pissed. He tried to get his stuff back. They detained him, had him down, saw that he had a gun. Who knows? Racial tensions are high at this time.
I mean, was he reaching for it? I mean, what? 48-second cell phone video.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and find that.
Here it is. Ooh, that's not going to play.
Oh, yeah. No.
Well, I mean, it's not like you guys, like I said, this is theadvocate.com. If you want to check out the videos over there, sure, it's probably right up on the first page.
Right here.
All right, so what else we got?
I don't know, but I'm sure that one's going to go ahead and piss off a couple people if we actually had listeners. But the Facebook pages, they're ablaze right now with this kind of talk. What do you want to talk about here, man? We could talk about... That one's right up your alley.
So what is this now?
Oh, man. Now, this is messed up. This one's messed up.
Oh, this is right up my alley. Thanks, Ronnie.
No, I didn't say that one. I said this one, but
oh, okay.
Go ahead and take this one. It's okay. It's
Judge. Warrant in child porn case was unnecessary.
Keep reading.
I really don't know how to feel about this.
Dude, this is one of those situations, and look at this comes from local, too. That's another reason why I put it up there.
This is local,
This is Daily Press. Yep.
It's
basically what breaks down in this one is that there's a federal judge that said that people should, due to hacking and outside interference, people have no reasonable expectation of privacy on their own computers. That's basically what it boils down to. Now, what they're using it in is
so
stuff
all
like
your
this.
data is essentially like someone taking a picture of you in the street?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, my God.
Anything you do on your computer, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, the reason I put it in there is, half of it's kind of messed up because, yes, they busted a pedophile here.
Right.
But now, this is basically like bringing into play a lot of outside factors. Take the child porn part out of this entire thing.
Yeah, and it's
scary.
So, a federal judge has ruled that a Peninsula man ensnared in a child pornography sting in early 2015 did not have any reasonable expectation of privacy to his home computer. In a ruling that's garnering interest in legal circles nationally, U.S. District Judge Henry Koch Morgan Jr. Is he related to you? Oh. Henry Koch Morgan Jr., Ronald Dale Martin Jr., said that because computer hacking is a commonplace and lots of data about people online usage goes to internet providers already. So, essentially, you're already just giving it to your internet provider, right? You're not assuming that they're going to keep it, somewhat confidential for you.
It's not just your internet provider. Anywhere that you go and you put your password into, you give that site your information. Same with like Google, man. Google builds up these portfolios through Google Analytics. Sorry to interfere, but...
No, that's cool. Therefore, Morgan ruled the FBI did not need a search warrant when it surreptitiously loaded surveillance tracking code onto the home computer of Edward J. Matish III, 24 of Newport News. I love how they gotta just put it out there. In February 2015 to help determine its location. But I mean, I guess this is about this guy. It's, but it's just like, why is it not about this this ruling?
Because, man, they take that horrible thing that is those two words right there, and they use it to cloud this entire topic. And they say, oh, so you're saying that you defend this pedophile's rights over the government's right to look at where they're going. And half of me kind of wants to sit there and say, yeah, let's go ahead and bust these guys and get these guys off the streets. But when it comes to me, man, I'm not on, what was that, Playpen or like these fucking sites.
What are you talking about?
It goes further into like the kind of sites that they were like tracking.
Oh, dude, I'm not even gonna put it out there.
Yeah, it's messed up. But the point is to remove that child porn thing from that. And then when you look at that, it's very scary because you have no expectation of privacy. If you don't want people to know something, don't put it into anything on your computer.
That's crazy. I mean, there's ways to encrypt stuff and all that. So, but
yeah, but you don't think they have a way around that? Oh, they coming for you,
but
Donald.
See, the point of it is, like, if you can protect yourself from a hacker, but because they're saying because hackers exist, that, you know, they could just take your shit. They don't need a warrant. Essentially, they can kick my door in right now and take my computer.
I mean, given some of the topics that we talk about on this, you know, when Shakespeare was with the station, he talked about oversharing and how oversharing was going to end up getting us all locked up, man. This is the kind of precedence that scares me and makes me, like, kind of think about, well, shit, how far do we really want to take this show, man? Because if we say the wrong thing and the wrong person gets elected in this next cycle, which I think could happen.
The wrong person? What? Any of them?
Yeah, bro. Either one of them. If it's Clinton, she'll come back and say, hey, you guys were talking that bad about me.
I think we'll go to jail under Gary Johnson, too.
Do you? I don't know, man. I don't trust that guy. I think what he'll do is he'll say that he's going to do something, and he's going to do it, and he's going to resign when he realizes the mess that he made.
He really is, like, the worst libertarian ever.
And fuck you, Niall Farage, you fucking son of a bitch.
No,
Can I get a I'm right on that
You're
one?
right on that.
Dude, so, guys, this
dude just bounced. Did you guys hear about this? So Nigel Farage, the guy spearheaded the Brexit. He's like, I got my country back. Now I want my life back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really? You just bounce?
Yeah. Do you think I told you, man? Do you think this is happening for the people? I wish it did because I would be all about it. But no, it was just like, yeah, we're gonna do this to get elected, and then when it happens, we're all gonna resign. Because Boris Johnson left too. Fuck him too. Fuck David Cameron. Jeremy Corbyn's the only one I give a shit about. But, dude, who even cares about UK politics, right?
I mean, it sucks because maybe that is the game, man. I mean, we might see the same thing here.
We've already saw it. Look what happened to the Tea Party, man.
That's a little different, man.
It kind of is and it kind of isn't. Because what if, like, and we talk about what if one of them does it, but we've already got a candidate out there who might win from populism. Right. And I'm not talking about Bernie. Bernie's done now.
Right. So when do you think he's going to endorse the Queen?
I don't think he does, man. I think at this point it just benefits him to be like, F you. Did you read that the House Democrats are booing him today when he came back because he won't endorse?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I still think he's going to cave, man. He's going to roly-poly just like he did on Audit.
Damn it. Bring that one up, man. I'm just saying it doesn't benefit him ever to yield. Even if, like, he's one of the first people taken to the re-education camps.
I don't think he's got much longer to be a politician anyway, man. He's probably looking at retiring. If you don't get, you know what I mean? Like, he's probably not going to keep pounding away in the Senate.
He's what, like 76?
Yeah, he's getting up there, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're looking at, like, maybe 25 years left on this earth. You want to be a politician in this shithole right now? Jesus, man. Is there any kind of hope for us? Call us up. Let us know. 320-4510. Let us know if there's any kind of hope.
We're going to go ahead and...
I'm losing it over here, man. My Xanax has not been filled.
We're going to go ahead and hit a break. See you guys on the other sides.
What's up, Internet?
Oh, shit.
This is George of the Chocolate Milk and Waffle Show.
And I'm Terrell K. Mercer, also the Chocolate Milk and Waffle Show.
And we would like to invite you to tune in every Thursday from 8 to 9 on RadioFradio.com.
Hey, it's Justin from Deprogrammed. Do you like to talk about your favorite bands with your friends? Yeah, well, me too. Tune in every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. to hear us do just that. Only on our station, Radio Free Radio, RadioFradio.com.
Hey, this is Corey O'Neill.
This is James Clark.
Tune into the FSB show here on our station, radiofradio.com, every Thursday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern to midnight. 2 full hours where we bring you politically incorrect sports talk, outside-the-box, thought-provoking stuff. You can call in here at the station, 757-848-5920. Give us a call, debate us, whatever's on your mind, let us know. We'll go back and forth. Give us a call. Head over to patreon.com/Radio Free Radio. $1 a month gets you everything. Don't miss what we've got going on at our station, radiofradio.com. Boom.
Do you ever feel like there's something wrong in the world around you? Do you feel like you're being lied to? Do you think you know more than the people in charge? Join us as we answer these questions and many more. Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. on radiofradio.com.
Hey guys, Matt and Justin here. Do you like things that are funny? Do you like music? Do you like talk? Well, we've got it all on Good Morning You Drunks.
How do you feel about double middle fingers?
I don't like them, but I will accept them.
Oh, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Good Morning You Drunks, only on our station, Radio Free Radio, radiofradio.com.
We promise we're not going to give you double middle fingers.
radiofradio.com. Did you know that Radio Free Radio has over 100 videos on their YouTube channel? What? It's true. Check it out. Go to YouTube and type Radio Free Radio, all one word, into the search bar and click subscribe.
Hey Justin, I was just thinking that there's no better way to advertise that hashtag WrestlePals is moving to 10 p.m. every Monday on Radio Free Radio, radiofradio.com, than to cut our own wrestling style promo. Do it!
Monday nights at 10 p.m. Hashtag WrestlePals take the airwaves. And they're going to talk wrestling with you. If you want to call in, you can call 757-848-5920. Can you feel that? Feel the WrestlePals power coursing through your veins! Ah!
I think you just had an aneurysm. That's hashtag WrestlePals every Monday, 10 p.m. Radio Free Radio, radiofradio.com.
Hey guys, this is Ron from Ron to the Hills, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 757-848-5920. Shoot us an email at ronhillsshow@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook /Ron to the Hills, and now you can Skype us at ronnie.hills2. Come on, join the Hill people today.
radiofradio.com. radiofradio.com.
I'm not a bit surprised that the Federal Reserve got to the Senate. I had expected Bernie Sanders to offer 604, which was the same as 1207, which is audit the Fed bill. And at the last minute, he switched it and watered it down. And really, it adds nothing. It's a possibility that it even makes the current conditions worse. This is essentially the bill plus more of the bill we beat in the House Financial Committee, the Mel Watts bill. But this is so disappointing to me that this happened, especially since for months now I've worked with Bernie on this, and he introduced the bill in our language, which was 1207. But as we speak, this is Thursday night. They are working on this on the Senate floor, and we need to get as many messages as possible to any senator you can think of, especially to Bernie Sanders' office, that we don't want this version. We want a true audit of the Fed. We need to know what the Open Market Committee does, and we need to know what they're doing overseas with the agreements with central banks and financial institutions and other governments. And in this bill that is being offered, that amendment that is being offered now does not include this. So I am sure that Senator DeMint is working on this and may come up with an alternative. But the only thing that would be fair to the American people, after all this work and energy that we've put into this, is have an up and down vote on what was our 1207 in the House, which is 604 in the Senate. Yes, they may water it down and they may win it. But if they don't have an honest vote on a Senate floor, to me it would be very, very discouraging. But it also shows what kind of forces we're up against. The president doesn't want this. The The leadership on Wall Street doesn't want it. The Federal Reserve doesn't want it. So they're powerful forces. But just think of the people that do want it. You know, everybody from progressives and liberal Democrats to libertarians and constitutionalists and the average person, so many of the Tea Party members, they all want this. They want transparency, and they want to find out what's going on at the Fed. So it's very, very important. It's a crucial time. And whether, I doubt if they'll vote tonight, which is Thursday, but they may vote tomorrow. Who knows? They may vote Monday. But it's vital and urgent that we do as much as we can to bombard the Senate with information that we, the people, deserve to have an up and down vote on Audit the Fed bill.
We're back.
Hey.
All right. So things didn't quite go as we would like to on that break there.
Yeah, we apologize if you guys heard any chatter.
Yeah. It's all good around here. We love each other. We love all of our guests and our listeners, and everybody's amazing, man. We want all of you to contact us. Go on over to the YouTube page and join in the chat. The chat's going pretty lively over there. If you want to give us a call, our phone number is 757-320-4510. And we had a caller over the break, but we couldn't get him through live.
Right.
Because,
so if you want to go ahead and call back, caller, you can.
Yeah.
We'll take you in now.
Yeah, we'll definitely take you in.
All right, so where were we at? We had something here about...
I don't know. I'm kind of lost as to where we were. I'm saying that there was a correction. Okay, so somebody in the chat's letting us know that the actual correct translation was 72 raisins, not virgins or clouds. 72 raisins.
Nice.
So you blow yourself up and kill yourself, and you'll go to heaven and get 72 raisins.
Okay, this just in. Is the CIA manipulating the weather? In a recent speech, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency discussed the controversial topic of geoengineering, leading some activists to ask whether the agency is actively and deliberately modifying the weather. Now, this came up several years ago. They had some big summit in California, essentially, saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to change the... change the weather.
True story.
By spraying aluminum, barium, and strontium. And that's what they said a few years ago. Then before that happened, though, and they came out and said that, people were taking samples of stuff they said was coming from chemtrails, and that's what was turning up in it, aluminum, barium, strontium.
That's kind of crazy because since the 1860s, there's been a law in the Virginia statute that says it's illegal in this state to control the weather. Now, I'm pretty sure that when they passed that law, they thought and still believe that there were actual witches amongst themselves. But it's a kind of interesting application in today's times when they are showing that not only is it possible, but I think it's probably in some of our best interests for actually us to control this weather. Right?
Right.
Like, I mean, if you never have to worry about a drought again, right?
I mean, it depends on how you do it, though. I mean, if it means spraying that, which is poisonous to us, the aluminum.
Only in our current forms.
So what are you saying?
Bionic lungs that run off of ammonia, barium.
You would. You would.
You would need that to breathe in that kind of atmosphere, though. But, yeah, so ethical is... Would you be for it if it didn't involve spraying those chemicals into the atmosphere?
It's a difficult... obviously it has its upsides.
Mm-hmm.
If you could control the weather.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could dissipate hurricanes, you can create rain in a drought, But on the other side, what are the consequences? I mean, even if it's not using chemicals that are, harmful to us, and they had some other way, what are the consequences of manipulating the weather? Are we going to end up changing? Are we going to end up, besides even that, are we going to end up changing the way the Gulf Stream goes? I mean, we could really seriously damage the environment, I think, screwing around with weather manipulation.
Trying to play God, if you will.
Maybe not at once, but over a period of time, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you think about the effects that the sun would have to have. So if you're spraying this stuff into the atmosphere and you have the sun going through these cycles, Holy crap, like at what point would the sun need to heat up to get through those chemicals? And if it ever did get through those chemicals, Jesus, man. But I think about the weaponization part of it. So you're saying if on one hand you can dissipate a hurricane, then that tells me that on the other hand you can create a hurricane and send it on a course at say some little island country that you don't believe should be there anymore. Say hello, Taiwan.
Right. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
If a massive hurricane comes along this summer and takes out Taiwan, my money is that it's on the Chinese government. Just saying.
It's very possible.
I mean, given what's going on right now in the world today, it doesn't surprise me. But seeing stuff like the CIA, I don't want to see that the CIA could control the weather.
No.
Any other, like...
I mean, if you're like, Farmer Jack growing the corn can control the weather, I'm like, all right, well, good for Farmer Jack, man. We're going to have some good corn.
Yeah, but CIA manipulating the weather. This might actually make sense, because in my entire life as a Virginia citizen, I've never seen this area actually get hit with a decent hurricane. It's always kind of like tropical storms or... like dissipation. Like, we get bad weather here, but we don't get enough bad weather here to say do damage to the military bases around here. I've never seen that happen before.
Right, yeah. Recently we've been getting, upswing in tornadoes. Nothing crazy, but...
Yeah, no, there's
it's not really out of precedence either. I remember tornadoes, years ago, too, flowing through here. But it did seem like it was increasing there for a little while.
The last real tornado we had around here tore through the old Nike missile site.
Mm-hmm.
That's like way off base of Langley now. But it was once owned by Langley, and it tore through that thing. It didn't actually touch Langley, but, took out the old military site. Who knows, man? Who knows? I would like to learn how to control the weather. What would you do if you could control the weather?
I guess I'd go into farming.
Oh, man.
What you got?
All right, so French minister says the TTIP is impossible in 2016. It would be impossible for the European Union and the United States to conclude negotiations on a trade deal by the end of 2016. France's junior minister for trade and commerce said on Tuesday, July 5th. I think a deal in 2016 is impossible, and everyone knows it, including those who say otherwise, said the minister in a statement highly critical of the deal. Matthias Feckel is this junior minister. His position doesn't seem to be a big surprise. France has already said that TTIP talks are likely to grind to a halt because of Washington's reluctance to make concessions. But the real reason seems to be that France will hold presidential elections in April to May of 2017, and the incumbent president, Francis Hollande, doesn't want this issue to be part of the campaign. Hello? Do we have a caller here?
Caller,
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going, buddy?
Is there hope for us? Is that why you're calling in?
I'm calling, I forgot why. I'm one of those terrible people, so hold on, let me turn down my radio. I'm pretty much calling for just to answer any questions that you might have about anything ever.
So, have we been to the moon?
Caller?
Have we done what?
Have we been to the moon?
Have we been to the moon? Well, define we, as an American.
Have me and Ronnie been to the moon?
Have I personally been to the moon? No. Has someone from this country been to the moon? Maybe.
Buzz Aldrin. Has Buzz Aldrin been to the moon?
Who? Buzz Aldrin? I don't know. Has Buzz Lightyear been to the moon? You don't know. They're all Pixar movies. They're just creations from Disney or something. I don't know. Maybe they've been there.
All right. How many cats do you own?
I only own one cat.
One. Okay.
Just one.
If you could control the weather, what would you do?
If I could control the weather, I would make it rain all the time because nobody likes a sunny day.
Did you make it rain?
I happen to love sunny days.
Well, we thank you for your call.
Yep.
We'll talk to you next time.
Okay, bye.
So, what is going on here?
Who even knows? That caller was a nice guy, though.
He was a nice
He was
guy.
nice. I appreciate that call. Are we going to get back here? Because as much as it seems that Donald Trump has said that Washington always gets the shitty end of the deal, it sounded like the EU saying that they're not going to make any, or the EU doesn't want to deal with Washington because they don't want to make concessions. So could we be like making a good trade deal for ourselves here? Hell no.
Sorry.
We are waiting for so many serious offers from the United States that there is absolutely no chance of things happening before the end of the Obama administration.
Mm-hmm.
EU Trade Commissioner Cecilia Malmstrom said last week. What do you think about
Donald
that
Trump or Clinton administration?
Quite possibly. I mean, it could be at the end of Bush Senior's administration when he fast-tracked the NAFTA. And then old Billary came in and signed it into power. Could be something like that. So, what else you got over there, buddy?
Opponents sue to stop California's vaccination law.
I know we've got some anti-vaxxers out there tonight, and you're going to want to hear this one, because this one's kind of important.
With California's strict vaccine mandate now in place, opponents are fighting to overturn the law in court. This new law, which took effect Friday, bars parents from citing religion or other personal beliefs as reasons to not vaccinate their kids. So no longer do you get a religious exemption.
Nope. No longer can you say that your personal beliefs are reasons to not vaccinate your kids.
And this is California. So SB 277 is one of the toughest mandatory vaccination laws in the country and drew many protesters when it was debated in Sacramento. A group of parents and the nonprofit Education for All filed a suit Friday to overturn the law in U.S. District Court in San Diego. The suit claims that the law violates California's children's right to an education under the state's constitution. So SB 277 has made a second-class citizens out of children who, for very compelling reasons, are not vaccinated according to the CDC schedule. Now, the CDC schedule, if that's the same one that they got hanging in the doctor's office, it's like 72 vaccinations in 2 years or something crazy like that.
Let's take a look here. I'm going to go ahead and Google that right quick while we're doing that. See, I don't know how I feel about this, man. Having a kid of my own, I don't like not having the choice there between like being able to give my kid these vaccinations or not. But at the same time, man, some of these things, they've gotten rid of some good diseases. I mean, bad diseases.
Some good.
They were some good stuffs, man. Okay, for everyone, easy to read schedules. They break it down in 3 different sections. Children from birth through 6, they get this many. That's a lot. I got to click on a graphic. You know that's a lot, man.
Dude, yeah, this is the same thing.
What in the world?
All right, so
this is the first 6 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
So 29 shots in the first 6 years. But interestingly enough, go back to that. It's 25 shots in the first 18 months. 25 vaccinations in the first 18 months.
He's right.
So, I know they want to say that they took thimerosal out of the vaccines, which is 50% mercury. All right, but read the ingredients on the vaccine. 9 times out of 10, it's still got thimerosal in it. Now, I'm not against vaccinations and the science of vaccinations, but there's something about dosing up children with that much mercury that early in life that just doesn't sit well with me. There's gotta be a different preservative they could use or something. I mean, and another thing, man, as long as it's these pharmaceutical, I don't trust the pharmaceutical companies to make a good product either.
I don't think
we already know that they use vaccines as weapons in the third world.
Yeah.
For sterilization.
Yep. But some of these, all right, like I don't get a yearly flu shot. I feel like if I ever were to get a flu shot, I would get the flu immediately afterwards. Like I don't feel like it would help me that much because each year I'll get a little bit of version of the flu, but it's not necessarily something that I want to get rid of. The Tdap shot. Now this one's interesting because I kind of agree with this. Tetanus, how do you say that? Diphtheria. Yeah, and then pertussis, diphtheria, and then pertussis. I'm not against that one. HPV, we should get rid of that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of one of those that.
But I mean, mandatory?
Yeah.
The argument that I hear,
it's like they give you a chickenpox vaccination. When I was a kid, we had this conversation before. When I was a kid, parents would be like, "Oh, you have chickenpox. Okay, all your friends coming over and they're all getting chickenpox, and then you all had chickenpox at the same fucking time."
Waka!
Whoa! I mean, 2 weeks later, you're done with the chickenpox. But as an adult, if you catch chickenpox, you could die. That's the sad part about that.
Right.
Measles, mumps, and rubella. Let's get rid of that one. Polio, man. If they ever change like the polio vaccinations like formula from the time we got rid of polio in the 1920s, right? I wouldn't ever want to take that one again. Hepatitis A and B. I don't really want either one of those, man. I'm just saying. I'm gonna keep reading.
Which one of these diseases do you want, Ronnie?
None of them.
Only I want that.
No.
Look, man, it's like I said. My problem isn't with the science and preventing disease. It's how they're made. It's what's in them. It's who's making them.
My biggest problem with this is they'd say, "Oh, this is an easy chart to read," and then you go through and you read it, and it's like, these shaded boxes indicate when the vaccine is recommended for all children, unless your doctor tells you that your child cannot safely receive the vaccine. These shaded boxes indicate that the vaccine is recommended for children with certain health or lifestyle conditions that put them at an increased risk for serious diseases. These shaded boxes indicate the vaccine should be given if a child is catching up on mixed vaccines. Like what? So you give the child extra vaccines if they're catching up? All right. Well then, it's just an interesting schedule, and now you can't opt out of any of these.
Okay, we got Paul. He's ready.
Paul's ready.
This is all my fault, guys, too, which makes me feel even worse because I told the guy 23 hours and I was wrong.
Well, should we take a break?
Wrong. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and hit a break, and we're gonna hit the break, and when we get back, we'll have Paul for you guys. Sorry for the delay, and like I said, I apologize. This is all my fault. And
what's up, Internet? This is George of the Chocolate Milk and Waffle Show. And I'm Terrell K. Mercer, also the Chocolate Milk and Waffle Show. And we would like to invite you to tune in every Thursday from 8 to 9 on RadioFradio.com.
Hey, it's Justin from Deprogrammed. Do you like to talk about your favorite bands with your friends? Yeah, well, me too. Tune in every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. to hear us do just that. Only on our station, Radio Free Radio, RadioFradio.com.
Hey, this is Corey O'Neill.
This is James Clark.
Tune into the FSB show here on our station, RadioFradio.com, every Thursday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern to midnight. 2 full hours where we bring you politically incorrect sports talk, outside-the-box, thought-provoking stuff. You can call in here at the station 757-848-5920. Give us a call, debate us, whatever's on your mind, let us know. We'll go back and forth. Give us a call. Head over to patreon.com/Radio Free Radio. $1 a month gets you everything. Don't miss what we've got going on at our station, radiofradio.com. Boom.
Do you ever feel like there's something wrong in the world around you? Do you feel like you're being lied to? Do you think you know more than the people in charge? Join us as we answer these questions and many more. Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. on radiofradio.com.
Hey guys, Matt and Justin here. Do you like things that are funny? Do you like music? Do you like talk? Well, we've got it all on Good Morning You Drunks.
How do you feel about double middle fingers?
I don't like them, but I will accept them.
Oh, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Good Morning You Drunks, only on our station, Radio Free Radio, radiofradio.com.
We promise we're not going to give you double middle fingers.
radiofradio.com.
Did you know that Radio Free Radio has over 100 videos on their YouTube channel? It's true. Check it out. Go to YouTube and type Radio Free Radio, all one word, into the search bar and click subscribe.
Hey Justin, I was just thinking that there's no better way to advertise that hashtag WrestlePals is moving to 10 p.m. every Monday on Radio Free Radio, radiofradio.com, than to cut our own wrestling style promo. Do it!
Monday nights at 10 p.m. Hashtag WrestlePals take the airwaves. And I'm going to talk wrestling with you. If you want to call in, you can call 757-848-5920. Can you feel that? Feel the WrestlePals power coursing through your brains! Ah!
I think you just had an aneurysm. That's hashtag WrestlePals every Monday, 10 p.m. Radio Free Radio, radiofradio.com.
Hey guys, this is Ron from Ron to the Hills, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 757-848-5920. Shoot us an email at ronhillsshow@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook /Ron to the Hills, and now you can Skype us at Ronnie.Hills too. Come on, join the Hill people today.
radiofradio.com. radiofradio.com.
I'm not a bit surprised that the Federal Reserve got to the Senate. I had expected Bernie Sanders to offer 604, which was the same as 1207, which is audit the Fed bill. And at the last minute, he switched it and watered it down. And
Hey,
it's a possibility.
Hey, and we're back, and we got Paul with us. Ronnie's out on the side. Sorry about that, man. I had no way to bring you in without going live. So,
all right. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. This is we got Paul Salo with us. That is how you say it, right? Paul Salo.
That's when my family's from Finland, right? When they moved to America, they wanted to sound more American, so they changed the pronunciation from Salo to Salo. So either was fine.
All right. He's the originator of the crowdfunding project to recreate 9/11. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show. Like I said, I apologize, guys. It was totally my fault, and my maths was not so great there.
Easy to do. Me too. Yeah.
All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul?
Well, let's see. Just my background, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been living in Asia since the 80s. So I when I finished university, I just wasn't happy. I just wasn't. I don't know. It's like life is just too boring back there for me. You know what I mean? And I just needed to see more. I took off around the world. I spent about a year and a half traveling all over, like 50 countries. Went all over the world, and ran out of money many times. I worked at a sawmill. I painted a hotel for food once. I ended up selling art on the streets in China, almost like a homeless person. I made a ton of money though, but it was really like hardcore stuff. And I just survived out on the streets, and then that was really enjoyable. And so I ended up moving to Japan. I came back home for a couple months, and I was like, I can't do this. I just don't want to do this. So I went to Japan Japan and ended up first, studying Japanese and learning Japanese and just basically having a good time. Dating tons of girls. Really, really enjoying myself. And then I ended up working, and eventually I got into headhunting, which is executive research, like finding top talent for companies. And I did that, and I started my own company. Then I got recruited to start to work in real estate, investment banking real estate. So I sold like large projects to funds, golf courses, hotels, residential projects. And then I started a toy company. I manufactured toys in China, in Shenzhen, and then we opened up stores in Osaka and Tokyo. It was super, super fun. I ended up losing a ton of money on that, but it was really, really enjoyable for me. I love like big projects that are like almost impossible.
Right. Yeah.
Like the whole thing. We designed the toy. We manufactured the toy. We opened the retail shops. I mean, everything I did myself. And it was an impossible thing to do. Really, I mean, manufacturing is not easy. And
Right.
retail is not easy. And the whole thing, we had live pets involved. It was really a complex thing, and I love stuff like that. I love the impossible. That's why I learned Chinese and Japanese. I mean, I love doing things like that. That's the thing that my brain gets off on. So then I got bored in Japan, and I said I got to do something. I got to and China was always calling me because I had been to China even before Japan, right? And I had really been in love with China. So I went back over there and I learned Chinese. I went to Jiaotong University, and then I started a real estate company in China, selling real estate to the Chinese. So that was like super exciting actually, because we started from the ground. We ended up doing well. We ended up being on HGTV, and we were I think, as far as I know, we were the only foreign company to be selling residential properties in China. And so I was selling in Chinese to the Chinese, real estate in China. And then we did that. That was super exciting. I learned so much, met so many people, everybody from government officials to like just interesting people, And I learned so much about what's really going on there, by doing real estate. Because you really get an insight. When you're in real estate, you really get an insight what's going on. Everything from, like in Japan, the mafia to corruption to, you really see a lot more than you see in other businesses. I think it gives you a structural view of the economy and stuff. But either way, so I did that, and then I basically got ripped off. My partner basically stole the company, and I lost everything. So I was like, here I was, 48, and I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do now? So I basically took all my knowledge that I had learned selling real estate in China, and I made a training course of how to sell real estate to the Chinese. So I have a course online now that sells to real estate agents in LA and New York and Sydney and basically any Western English-speaking country. If they want to sell to like Chinese investors, you see all these Chinese coming in now and buying stuff.
Right.
They want to sell to those guys, but they don't know how to do it. And I'm like the only guy who did it for many, many, over a decade in China. So I know what I'm doing. I know how to get their attention. I know how to sift through the bullshit. I know how to, like basically suss out a dude. Because it's very, very different dealing with foreigners, dealing with Chinese.
Right.
It's very, very different than a buyer, like your dad if he buys a house. It's a completely different mindset. So that's what I did, and then I've been doing that. So that keeps me going, and I just decided. I thought, well, I'm going to try something else in Asia. So I came over to Thailand. I spent almost a year in the States, so that was exciting. I had never really been to traveled the U.S. by myself.
Right.
So I went to like 45 cities shooting videos for my YouTube channel with my buddy Julian, and we just had a good time and cruised all over the place. And I got to see it from a different perspective, and I think I appreciated the U.S. kind of for the, what I mean? I really appreciated seeing what I saw. I could see it from a different perspective, and I really enjoyed it. It was good. Then I came over here, and I was just like sitting around and. I don't know. Have you traveled much? Have you been overseas much?
No, I haven't. Have you, Ronnie?
I have not. Let me introduce myself, sir. My name's Ron. I'm the other half of this show.
Oh, hey, Ron. Hey. Cool. So you guys, where did you guys grow up in?
Virginia.
Yeah, pretty much.
United States.
I mean, I've traveled the U.S. a little bit, but pretty much spent most of my time here in Virginia. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know anything about Virginia. I've never been there.
It's it's pretty rich in history. I mean, you got the first colonies, first settlements, Civil War stuff. A lot of stuff. If you're a history buff, concerning the states, it's a good place for that. And other than that, it's pretty heavy military area. Not a whole lot going on.
Oh, okay. I would like to visit. Yeah, my brother's in Boston, so I like to go see. I like to see the way the U.S. presents history. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The way it's packaged and presented to people, because I've seen so many different angles being overseas.
Right.
And talking to people and just getting different viewpoints. That I always like to see what is being packaged, because the history of the events, it really is. It's a bunch of stories that everybody agrees upon, right? It doesn't mean that it's true.
Correct. Absolutely.
And I don't mean that in the sense like conspiracy. I mean like I'll give you an example. I was in college, right? We used to for spring break, right? Everybody would get drunk and go to Palm Springs, right? That was what we did. And so I went there, and we did as everybody else does. And I remember one day we were walking down the street, and all of a sudden, like, something flew by me. I was like, "What is that?" And it was a rock, right? And so then I realized like something was going on. So I was, we were like looking around, what's going on, and then we saw some people running around. All of a sudden, everybody's running around, And then next thing you know, we were getting maced. There was cops there, and they were macing us. And I had never been maced, and it was like really bad, I thought that stuff should be illegal, really.
Yeah.
And it really feels it's terrible, And we were just walking down the street, So, and then later, we kind of didn't know what happened. We were just kind of like, what was that? If you're ever in a real situation, it's so different than the story that you read later.
Yeah.
Even if the story is accurate, it's just different. It's your experience. You know what I mean? And so we just kind of like, what was that? And then there was like cops, and then we just like walked to another part of town, basically. And then I get home and I read the newspaper, and my parents were really worried. And it looked like World War III in the newspaper, and the story was like really exaggerated. And I found out later, because I was really interested in this, and this was like 1985 or 6. Probably 85. And I remember after I read the thing, I did some research into the reporter that wrote that story, and it turns out they weren't even there. So they wrote this story about this riot, and they were in L.A. They didn't have time to get out there, right? Obviously you can't be everywhere, right? And the riot just broke out suddenly. So I realized that there's just so much stuff that we think, it was written as if he was there, right? Mm-hmm. And he wasn't even there. He didn't even know what the hell he was talking about. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I thought, wait a second, that maybe things aren't always the way, that I think the way they're written. And it's like, when you get into history, you're talking about stuff that would happen so long ago that if a story about a riot can be completely not true on the day after, you know what I mean? In the LA Times, in Southern California, it's a civilized country. They have cars, roads, TVs and telephones. If that can happen, then what happens with a story that's 100 years old, or even 3 weeks old, then a month old, 2 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 5,000 years? You realize there's not even a chance that the story that's being told is exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened with you, all them different crazy stories. When I first found it, I was looking for more info, and I kept finding all these different conflicting stories about it. Like, at first it was 9/11 truther wants to recreate 9/11, and then it was like this guy wants to disprove 9/11, and then it's just crazy. There was like I couldn't find any kind of true information until I finally stumbled upon your site.
Right. That was interesting. That I have never told that story. That's an interesting one there. What happened with that one was, I originally shot the video, and just to tell you how much I wasn't planning this. I talked about all those businesses I've had, right? Nothing I plan. I try stuff and I see if it works, right? You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I relive my life. I see if it works. I give it a shot. I see what happens. What's the reaction? Is it good or bad? Did it work or didn't work? And then I continue doing it if I try something new and continue, right? So with that video, I was walking through that market, where I shot it with my friend John, who was visiting from Tokyo. And so I said to him, I saw the light coming down the river was perfect. I said, hey, that's all I was thinking about was a good light. I wasn't even sure what the top was going to be. I said to John, I said, hey, can you hold the camera here? Just don't move too much. And I'll make a video here. So I stood over there, and then I started talking. And then the sun went behind the building. So I almost canceled the video right then. So I'm like, oh, man, I thought it was going to be good light, And because I've been thinking about light a lot with camera, with cinematography and stuff. And so that's what I was thinking about. And I thought, okay, that's right. I'll do the 9/11 one. That's the idea I was thinking about. So that was it. I shot the video, and then I uploaded it. I have a lot of videos online, so I just kind of put it on there, and then my channel. And then the next thing you know, I starts getting hits. I'm like, oh, okay. Then I get a call from a reporter, or an email from a reporter here in Bangkok, and she said, okay, this is really interesting. Actually, this is fascinating how this thing rolled out. Okay, so she says in her email, it was very not nice email. Really, it was not a friendly email, and so I knew something was up. It was the feeling was, I don't have the words right here with me on the phone, but it was basically like. It was just very curt, you know what I mean? Very, very curt. It was just kind of like, she had a couple of questions, but it was almost like she didn't really care. And so then I was sitting there, and I was going to go to the gym, and then I sent her an email, and I said, hey, can I respond? I really want to think about your questions, so let me think about it, let me sleep on it, I'll send you in the morning. Is that okay? And then, but I had a feeling, I better ask. So I sent her an email, and she says, basically, if you don't answer the questions, like in the next 20 minutes, I'm just going to run the story and say whatever I want. And I was like, wow, I'm glad I asked, So I'm thinking, because I wanted to get my side of the story out, because I knew it wasn't going to be good. I knew it wasn't going to be good, So I thought about it, I answered the questions, and then luckily, she did use some of it, but she really, it was really, overall, I mean, if you saw the article, the original, it was in a thing called Coconuts, and it was like this kind of local Thai thing, and basically making me look like a total idiot, essentially, Right. And so it was fun. And then what was interesting then, when after that story came out, was that people can leave comments on their Facebook page, right? And so immediately, the people that were reading the story said, this is a prime example of the poor quality journalism at Coconuts, because you judge this guy without even knowing. And they were saying the stuff that I wanted to say. The comments,
right?
And I expected the opposite. I expected them to say, "This guy's an idiot. He's crazy," But actually, people were saying this is the example of how bad you guys are, journalism. And I was like, "Whoa!" That was the first time I saw that there was support out there. People were not. There was a significant amount of people out there that did not think this was crazy, and that was surprising because I didn't know what the response was going to be. You know what I mean? Because if I just asked my friends, they basically would. I mean, my dad would think it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like most of my friends would be like, "What are you doing?" I mean, why would you do this? So anyway, so then it went to this next local website, and then the next thing I know, I get a call from the UK from a major guy who writes for a newswire, and he was like, listen, I want you to know, I don't think it's crazy. I'd like to do a serious interview with you. So I'm like, awesome. So then I did the interview with him, and then it just blew up, just went insane. I mean, it just blew up. It was a UK newswire. So it started out with the Mirror, the Sun, the Express, all these local, UK-based things, and then it went all over Europe. So Germany, Russia, all over the place in Europe, Portugal, Spain. I mean, every country you can think of ran an article about this. There's probably over 5,000 articles about this project. There might even be 20. It's possible. It's just crazy. Yeah, because in China alone, there was people reprinting it, just reprinting it all over the place. It was I couldn't even keep up with how many stories. I started posting for a while. I was posting on Facebook. I thought, just no way. There was 126 threads going crazy on Reddit and Unilad. It was just comments just coming down. And I was like, oh my gosh, And so I just didn't. I was like, whoa. And a lot of them were bad. A lot of comments and stuff.
Right.
And the thing is that if you look at the touches I had with people, I got a couple of emails from a girl in Bangkok right? And I wrote down some of the words, which is very easy to misinterpret, right? Here we are, you're calling me, we're talking, you can ask a question if you misunderstand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this wasn't like that. This was just a couple of questions, written words. She's a second language speaker, but that was the only contact I had with anybody, and it's already going crazy. Now, next thing you know, it's, because it was going crazy in Thailand already, it was going nuts, like, Thai Visa and all these sites were just like, it was like comments, just like, they were so fast that when you reload the page, it would be a whole new section of comments, right? Just like you read down a comment and you reload it, it's like a whole new comments coming up, right? And so then the guy calls me from, Richard Dewsbury calls me from the UK, and then it just goes nuts. And basically, so I've had one conversation with one guy. That's all. And it's already, it was the number one commented story of the week in the UK over Donald Trump, right? And I've only had one conversation with one human being. And then finally, I started getting calls from different people all over the place. But what happened was a lot of them were like shock jocks and things like that. And they didn't want to tell a story. They were just out to make fun of it.
Right.
And so like they would call me, and I would like, do my research about who was on the show, their names and things like that. And so I did my research and what kind of people they were and this and that. Right. So I was like, on the calls, I'd be like they were just like, I could just right away. I was like, oh, because I don't have any experience with this, right? I was just like, this is the first time, right? I've been in the media a lot in China and Japan, and some in the U.S. before, but never with a project like this. It's very different with a project like this, right?
Yeah.
So then, yeah, it's right, completely different thing, right? So then I said I was listening to these things, and they were saying all these crazy things, and finally I said something, whatever her name was, Deanna, like, why do you think that, or what could you elaborate? And then she was like, how does he know my name? And she hangs up, right? She's one of the people interviewing me, right? And like, they had no interest in presenting the story at all. They didn't even want me to be able to say anything, right? It was just purely to make fun of it. And what happened was really interesting. It goes back to what I said in the beginning was the people listening to the show didn't like the way they handled it. They were like, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to listen to the show anymore. And so people were writing in, and you can see the comments on their page. The people were not happy. They were not happy at all. But what was the dichotomy was the people doing the interviews thought everybody was going to be happy. And they thought they were doing a good thing. Let's make fun of this guy, right? And there was the worst case scenario was like, I talked about it on another video, but there was a guy on something called Rebel TV, and he just tore it apart. He obviously had no idea what I was talking about. He didn't know who I was. He didn't know why I did it. He didn't even watch the video, honestly. He had no idea. He was assuming that I was a total truther and tinfoil and alien, anal probe and everything. So he had that perspective, and he made his video. And then under the video, the YouTube video was really bad. Like, people were saying, like, cancel my subscription. I'm a paying subscriber. This is ridiculous. And like all the way down the comments, because I wasn't reading the comments. I try not to read the comments because it's kind of upsetting. You go viral on the internet.
You don't read the comments.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm happy if someone else reads them and tells me, but I don't want to read them. It's not worth it. So either way, but so then my friend here is reading and he's like, hey, Paul, these are not bad. Check out the comments. And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, no, really, read the comments. So I was reading the comments and people were like, cancel my thing. This guy's an idiot. I want to hear more from this guy. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, people were really supporting me, like really, like even more than I could ever hope for. And like really tearing this company apart. And I was like, wow. So I realized that there is a lot of people that want to hear, what's going to happen. They want to see, and this is the era we live in, right? People want to know. Mm-hmm. It's like no more of this, you tell me what to believe and I believe that kind of thing, It's like whatever it proves or not, people are not satisfied being told what to think anymore. And they're not satisfied with, like, let's just make fun of something like this, It's like, no, man. If this guy's going to do this test, it's once in a lifetime. No one else is going to do this.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see if the building doesn't fall down. I just want to see it. It's not going to prove necessarily one way, but it's going to tell me a lot. I want to see it.
So what brought you to this project?
I mean, just basically my personality more than anything. I always want to know more.
Right.
I can never buy any doctrine completely. Like if I join any group, okay, it could be like if I like in high school, like going to church, or if any particular, like, what do you call it, like doctrine or mindset, or you have to believe this, even like a 12-step program. Nothing I believe completely. I always am looking, because there's always other sides to things, and there's just things are not what people think. That's basically what I think at my age now. I think that there's always more to learn about life, and it's not a simple 1, 2, 3 story. It's not like that. There's always more to learn, and I have so many friends overseas who have different perspective on things. Like maybe like Filipino friends who had experience in the war fighting with the Americans against the Japanese, and they tell me stories, crying, and tell me what happened and what this guy did and what that guy did, and I just have so many stories that are firsthand accounts of history, of what really happened in some certain situation, that I always want to hear more, I want to know more. And what really kicked it off for me to do this thing was two things. One, I went to New York, and I was with this friend of mine, and he's German, and we walked to the Freedom Tower, and we're going to go up there. I was all excited, and I had flown after the attack. I flew straight to my brother-in-law was on an airplane from Japan, where I was at the time. He was flying to the U.S. during the attack, and the Japanese TV said there was 11 planes hijacked. And it was they had a lot of misinformation on the TV. And my sister called me, who also lived in Tokyo at the time, and she said, he's on the plane. Like there's 11 planes hijacked, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I really thought we were scared for him. We didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew what was going on in Japan. It was completely just chaos. People were just saying whatever they wanted. And so I jumped on an airplane as soon as I could get a flight to New York, about a week after the attack. And it was still burning, and I spent like 2 weeks just basically walking to ground zero every day and just looking at the site and thinking about things and watching, just watching people's reaction, looking around, and just thinking about everything. And I actually, there's a lot of interesting things happen on that way. One is I actually saw some guys laughing about it, and they were sitting there and they were Middle Eastern, obviously, and they were laughing about it. And I was just sitting there watching the wreckage and thinking about stuff, and that was very interesting for me. That was just my personal story. That's a true story, and I was just like, okay, this is interesting. There's different opinions here. What's going on here? I want to know. Nothing teaches me black or white.
Right.
It just gets me interested in digging more. I want to dig more when I see that, right? I don't say, oh, those guys are enemies. I just think, okay, that's interesting. Those guys obviously have a very different opinion. I want to know what they're really thinking. What this means. What does this all mean? So that was one thing. Is I called my dad and I said I'd like to basically hunt down Bin Laden, and at the time, and so my dad, who's very pro defense, and he watches Fox News and everything, and he said, you have a company in Japan now, you have employees that rely on you, and any other time I would have said you should do it, but this time I think your age and everything, I don't think you should do it. And I was like really surprised, actually, coming from my dad. I was really, really surprised. And so I thought, okay, that kind of let me off the hook, because I was going to do it. I was actually going to do it. And then so then I said, okay, and I thought about it. Okay, I'll just continue with my company. But I was very depressed, like just thinking that it happened so easily, and so so I spent like the next year just reading news, like Arabic news, because I could, back then they had like Babelfish for translation, and it was the first time you could read. The 2001 was like the first time you could read foreign news, in English, right? And so I was just reading Russian news. I was reading Arabic news, Israeli news, German news. I wanted to get all the different perspectives on this thing, and I just was. I guess you could say I was depressed. I don't like the word depression, and I don't think I really was depressed, but I I was down, okay, for about a year, just thinking about this thing, and just reading and studying and talking to my friends and researching, and then that year ended, and I just started talking to more people, my friends. I realized there's a lot of people overseas who don't people. Okay, you as an American growing up in Virginia, you have a certain reaction to information, to a story, right? Someone else who born in a totally different place with a different background, different parent, completely different situation, they're going to have a different reaction to that story, even the same story, right? So people overseas, like, I just started hearing more and more people saying, like, 9/11, yeah, that was the Israelis, or that was, the CIA, or, that was fake, there was missiles, and so many people were saying that kind of stuff, overseas. A lot of people, and the thing is here's the thing, is this is lack of trust, okay? So if you don't trust your father, right, if he tells you something, you say, oh, he was probably out drinking, he's probably lying, he's probably out with his girlfriend, you're going to not respect him, right? Because you think that he's doing all these other things, right? So that's what happens. When you don't trust, when you don't believe things, you just automatically write everything off, they say, basically, right? And that's what lack of trust causes. It causes like a disintegration of many, things that should go smoothly, even if they're true, right? So I just realized that this is a serious issue for the U.S., this lack of trust. Because the citizens of these countries either partner with the U.S. or they're partners or they're not partners, and we trust them to do stuff, and whether to support a certain war or to implement a trade policy or to cooperate with returning criminals, whatever. If they don't believe things, and if this thing just leaves festering, it's going to cause a lot of bad stuff, and then also, if they're right, okay, if for example, and I'm not saying this is, but if the government did kill 3,000 of its own people, that would be a very significant thing, and it might even cause a revolution, right? And so there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle here, right? So I was just looking at all this stuff, and then I was at Freedom Tower with my friend, and he said, "That's just BS. It's not true. It's a," and I was like, I have two sides to myself, right? One is like completely American, right, and the other side is like completely not. Like I can speak Chinese the rest of my life, or Japanese. I can live totally happily without ever speaking English, in a different country. It's totally fine with me. Like I actually would enjoy it, So, but when I heard him say that, I almost, like, my American side came. I'm like, hey, we're right here, like we're right here. Like, don't say that so loud, And then and he was like, no, it's bullshit, man. And I was like, whoa, because this guy is a smart guy. He's a very good friend of mine. And here we are, and he doesn't even want to go up Freedom Tower because he thinks it's so BS. And I'm like, wow. So I thought, this is significant. If an educated, intelligent guy like this thinks that, because the kind of story that we hear is that anybody who doubts any story is crazy. Okay, so if you doubt anything, basically you're crazy. Right. You go into the crazy, thing. Whereas, I don't know. In other, if it's a government-related thing, whereas if it's not government, if it's something else and you doubt it, like if you say, hey, I don't think that Bing ads have that same conversion that Google ads have, right? If you say something like that, you're not crazy. You're researching. You're doing your homework, right? But if you if you doubt Google's claim that they have this, or if you doubt Clorox bleach is as good as another bleach, or whatever, you're just a regular consumer making decisions, right? But if you doubt the government, all of a sudden, in any way, you are crazy, right? And I think that's got to stop. I think that the time of that is over. That was the 1950s, maybe 60s, at the latest. It's like now. In today's day and age, not only do you have the right to doubt, you should doubt things. You should question things. You should. That's what allows things to carry on and get out of control. That's what It's like that's what. If you don't doubt and you just, look at Richard Nixon, right? I grew up in, like, a lot of my life in San Clemente, California, where he lived. I knew him. I used to sell him golf balls, right? And I would swim in the river and get these golf balls and sell them. He was, by the way, he was super cool. By the way, everybody in St. Clement loved Nixon.
Ronnie's actually related to him.
No way!
Yeah.
That's my grandmother's half brother, same dad, different mom.
No way,
dude!
He was an awesome guy.
My uncles look exactly like him, and yeah, they were. Yeah, it's a whole good old boy network there. I'll tell you what.
He's right. Wow, that's crazy. Well, I'll tell you a couple stories about him.
All right.
Yeah, because I used to sell them. I would go down and fish these. I could see the Secret Service coming, right? I was a little kid, right? And I would see the Secret Service coming down. I looked down the hill to the golf course because he loves golf, right? He played underneath my house, right? We lived in this apartment building. And so I would see him, and you could see him coming because he was quite slow. So I'd run down there, and then I had got these golf balls out of the the rough and out of the lake and the river, and I would clean them up, and then I would sell them. And so I'd come down, and he would always say the same thing. Well, which one's the most expensive? And I always say, this one's $1,
Yep.
And then he's like, well, I'll take that one. So he would buy one golf ball for me every time, right? So, and it was just my personality. I just wasn't afraid of the president. I would just go right up to him, right? And so then one time he was putting, right? And me and my friend Mark we were up in this tree. We got up in this tree. We had these peanut M&Ms. We had like a pound bag of these things. And so Mark starts throwing them at Nixon, right? Whoa. And they're bouncing all over the greens, right? And no one even notices them. And these Secret Service guys are all standing around with their sunglasses on. No one even notices these like M&Ms bouncing like all over the place. And then finally one hits his cart, right? And then bing, and then they pulled the guns out, and they came up and got us out of the tree. And then he's like, "Oh, it's you," He starts laughing, And so my friend, I shouldn't say my friend, the guy who lived near me, in my neighborhood, he said, "Hey, can I get your autograph?" So he's like, "Sure," So he signs his autograph, and then he gives it to this guy, this kid, and he rips it up. He tears it up, and he throws it on the ground. He throws it on the green. And I was so ashamed. I'm looking down at the green with the white and the green colors. It's so bright in my mind because it was sunny and everything. I was just staring at the papers. I was feeling so bad. And he goes, "My dad says you're an asshole." Yeah. And then I felt so embarrassed, and I was just so sad that I took this kid with me. It was like one of my first experiences where you learn how to choose friends, who to hang out with. Because that was the dumbest thing to ever do to the president. I mean, that's just, what's the point?
Regardless how you feel, you still respect the man.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Dang.
He's So especially if you've never met him, you don't even know the guy. How can you judge him, right? That's what I think. I want to meet people. I don't just take people's word for it. So either way, so then after that, I was the last story of Nixon. my orthodontist had an office right next to there was one of the tunnels between the holes. And so he was driving there, and I guess there was congestion or whatever. So he stopped his car and he looked in. He saw me with my mouth open, like sitting in the chair. And he waves at me.
Ah, nice.
He waves, getting my teeth worked on. He recognized me inside the room through the screen and everything. So I always had very good experiences with him. And I know that the other kids in town, I found out later, which I didn't know at the time, because he lived on the other side of town. I lived in Short Coast. He lives way out in Cottons Point. So I found out later that all the kids in his area used to go to his house for trick or treat because he had the best candy. But we didn't. It was before the internet, so we didn't have that kind of information where we were. Otherwise, we would have definitely gone over there.
Yeah, I'm finding that now my daughter's old enough to go trick or treating that we use a lot of social networking to find out where the good candy's at.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter. To be honest with you. That's pretty amazing. Okay. I wish I had that as a child, but
so in my discussions with people about your projects, there's one thing that kind of kept coming up. People that believe that the building is gonna, crumble like on 9/11. They have, how are you gonna clean it up? That I didn't see anything in the plan for that. Was that you still working on it?
Right, that's something we haven't added yet. Yeah, no, right. Obviously we have to have a number of firefighters there.
Obviously,
safety, and also to clean up the mess. Yeah, of course. Yeah, all the things you would need basically besides just the fuel, you have to think about that. But we also just the things you would need to tear down a building and to safely handle the material. So we have the this part of the team, which is not public yet, but we have a team of test pilots that wants to join our project. We haven't signed a contract with them yet, but they crashed an airplane before for science, for basically aeronautics, so to test where you should sit in an airplane during a crash. And so they filmed it. So they already have experience doing this whole thing and then cleaning up, of course. And so they're ready to sign pretty much any time. So our only decision is, do we want to use this team, or now that we know it's possible, do we want to talk to other teams, right?
Right.
Like they could be German or they could be French. It doesn't matter, as long as they're interested. And I think that a lot of test pilots, especially these are older guys, and they're basically getting retired or whatever. So this is like the most exciting thing they could do.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, here we are. We're going to crash this plane. We're going to see what's. So I think that finding the pilots, and they obviously have done this before. They understand all the aspects of cleaning up this stuff. So yeah, this is just simply a matter of getting the budget and then just finding out what we need to do and then just doing it. Basically, it's not when Elon Musk made his company, he didn't know what was the chemical composition of the batteries. You know what I mean? He found he found engineers to do that, right?
Right.
But he had a vision of making the first, like long distance, kick butt, electric car, and that's what he did, right? Yeah. And the rest is just convincing the investors to hang on when they almost went bankrupt one time, and putting his own money in and just grinding it out, and then getting the people, and then that's basically the way I look at myself with any project, And when people ask me like really really specific stuff, it's like a lot of them. I mean, I understand. It's totally fine. I love questions, and it's all part of the learning process. But I mean, to think that one person knows all the answers to anything is just insane. To think that they know all the answers. Like that's the whole thing. We and the questions can be very very valid and very very helpful for our team too, because we think about stuff. In fact, what you said about the cleanup, that's what somebody else said when we sent the plan to them, and I was like, oh, right, we didn't write that, and we're going to put that in. It's just a matter of putting together the pieces, finding all the aspects.
Right, understandable. I know that it's still in way early phases. It's just, it was a reoccurring theme. I just wanted to touch on it for anyone who might have been wondering.
Yeah, we'll definitely take care of it. We'll make sure that it's safely done. And also, it looks like if it's in a Western country, we're going to have to get insurance. So it'll be like a one-day insurance. So they'll cover the accident on that one day. So we have to make sure the weather's right, everything's right. Because if we go another day, then we have to do a whole new contract for a new insurance policy. The insurance policy only covers the day that you're going to do it, and it's very expensive. So
speaking of countries, have you received any positive feedback from any countries? Any countries that look upon this negatively?
You mean like governments?
Well, okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Did you have something else?
No.
Okay. With a project like this, it's like there's no guarantees. It's such a weird project that even if someone guarantees we can do it in their country, I don't believe it. Because they can change their mind at any time because of government pressure or whatever, right? And that when we get into the banking side, we can talk about this. It's such a weird project. It's not like a regular project where we're going to build a factory and make batteries or something, right? We're going to make widgets. This is like a project where they can change their mind, and they will. So which country are we going to do it in? In the end, it's like, okay, if you look at there's been 2 deliberate that I know of plane crashes in history. One of them was in the U.S. and the other one was in Mexico. So it's not unprecedented. People have crashed airplanes on purpose with autopilot. One, that was NASA in 1984. They crashed, I believe it was in Nevada, but it's on a documentary, so you can watch it. I can send you guys the link. And then also, Discovery Channel crashed an airplane in Mexico, and they had a team of test pilots, and they filmed the whole thing. And they did a different thing. NASA in 1984, they were capable of flying a plane, like taking off on autopilot, flying on autopilot, crashing on autopilot. right? And the only thing they did wrong in that crash was they came at a little bit of wrong angle. So the one wing hit before the other, which they didn't want. But this is 1984 technology. Think about what's gone on since then.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so it's just so much. I mean, look at drones and computer. I mean, it's just, and then Wi-Fi, and I mean, everything's happened since then. So then in 2012, Discovery crashed that plane, and that was for the purpose I talked about before, was to see where you should sit, how you should sit in an airplane. They used crash test dummies, and they filmed it all. And then what they did was they had pilots taking off, and then this is what I had originally envisioned when I did the video. I didn't say it in the original video because I just thought people would think it was too crazy. But they did exactly my idea. What they did was they took off with pilots. They had like wires attached. They had like a contraption basically attached to the different consoles, and they had another plane next to it, flying next to it, which affected the speed and everything because the other plane wasn't very fast. But anyway, they controlled it by like basically Wi-Fi type of thing, and then they crashed it, and they did it exactly the way they wanted to. It hit exactly the way they wanted to. So it was a perfect crash. So that was 2012, and that was a TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we can do this thing. I think that's like a lot of people's question is and they did it in Mexico. So where are we going to do it? It's once we get the budget and we get to the next stage, people are starting to take the test seriously, right? I think it started with the Washington Post. The Washington Post, they contacted me, and we did a long interview with Lindsay Durder. Lindsay Beaver. So Lindsay Beaver, and she was awesome, right? And she was the first one, back to the original story, that called me after the original Newswire story in the UK. So she really wanted to talk, and she really asked a lot of questions, and they were very tough questions, And then she wrote her story, and then Vice wrote their story, and they called me also and spent a week on the story actually, asking questions back and forth, calling me, and they were awesome. Oliver Odham wrote that, so that was when it got taken seriously. So as we get closer to completion, people are going to realize the benefits, because there's a lot of benefits I haven't talked about yet. But obviously, planes crashing into airplanes has been a problem since the 20s, when the first, I think it was like a Cessna type of plane, hit, I think it was the Empire State Building, right? And then there's been numerous plane crashes since then. Now we have a deliberate crash of the very large aircraft that was, from a terrorist point of view, very successful. So obviously, whenever something works, whether it's murder or drugs, if it works, there's going to be people that are going to want to do it again, right? And so we're going to see more of this type of thing. So the data that we get from the crash is going to be invaluable for making new buildings, for developing projects like this. Because, the thing is let's just say not conspiracy at all. Let's just say just basic planes, buildings, real estate. Okay, those planes hit that building, right? They both hit different areas. They both hit at different angles, and both those buildings, let's say just 200 years, they hit the plane. If this was a scientific test, it was terrible, because they both at completely different places, and one was on an angle, the other one was basically straight, and the buildings acted exactly the same. Okay, so in other words, if you put on a blindfold and go back down a tree, and you put your pickup truck in one direction, and the tree falls exactly into the back of the pickup truck, that's going to be pretty odd, right? But if it happens 2 or 3 times, then you say, well, there's something going on here, right? It's like, why is this always happening, right? You're saying, okay, and then you figure out maybe the angle or the gravity is taking, whatever. So there's some reason why these buildings fell down exactly the same way. So if it wasn't a conspiracy, there was no explosive, all that, fine. Well, then it should happen exactly the same, right?
Or very similar.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these things went down picture perfect, man. For a 109-story building, they went down because demolition is an art. Mm-hmm. It's not it's like an art and a science. These guys that do demolition are pros, And
if you remember watching the video, the top, I think it was the South Tower, I'm not sure, the one with the antenna, you can actually see it starting to cock and look like it was going to fall off before it actually just came straight down.
Yeah, yeah. So like that means that if that happened 2 out of 2 times with 109 stories, I mean, these are buildings are massive. So they have, if you do it in a 1-story building and it falls down straight, it's one thing. But if it happens on a 10-story, 100-story, then you're talking the odds are almost zero if you had 2 out of 2 tests that this is not common thing, right? So we should see a very, very similar situation. You can talk about the exact structure of the building. You can talk about the day and temperature and the weight of everything. But look, if you drop a cow out of a helicopter, right, it's going to land a certain way, right? It's going to look like something. I mean, you don't want to do this to hurt animals, obviously. Right. I personally am even against. I'm trying not to eat meat, and everything. But let's just use it as an example, just the carnage, right? If you drop that and you drop it in different places, there's going to be a lot of things in common with that. It's an unusual occurrence that you've never seen before. And you're going to be able to draw some conclusions about that, right? This is what happens when you drop it from, it won't have to be 10,000 feet. It could be 11,000 feet or 10,001 feet. But you're going to still learn basically the same stuff, And crashing a plane into a building, if they both fell exactly like they did, then you should see there should be some similarities. There should be, you know what I mean? There definitely should be. Yeah. Because these buildings are so tall. The odds are so low because for a building to go down perfectly, I mean, I guess, I don't know if people realize how many different angles it could have fallen at and what could have happened. There's like a million other scenarios that could have happened. Right?
Yeah, if those buildings don't fall like they fell in New York, then there's just outstanding.
Yeah. If it takes the path of least resistance and just kind of falls off the top over to the side.
Right. Or if nothing happens at all.
Yeah, well, or if it completely obliterates itself to a pile of dust. My money's not really on that, but
exactly. If it does that, then it does that, right? That's the whole thing about it, and I think that's partly why there's a lot of support for me doing this project. Is because I'm not, for me, it doesn't matter either way. Like if it falls exactly like it does, that's great. And if it doesn't prove necessarily it's a conspiracy. It doesn't, but it would make me question. There would be a lot of questions. I'd want to know more. At that point, and like I said, it could lead to some very, very serious things. That consequences.
Yes, it could.
So, and I don't want to exaggerate that. I don't want to say like, hey, if it doesn't fall exactly like it did, then it's a revolution. That I don't want to say that. I'm just trying to get as much information as we can. We want to find out if it's similar, and if it wasn't, we want to find out why. We're always looking for more. We're not just like, hey, let's go on the rampage. It's not like that. But people have the right to know more, right? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I understand you've been having a little trouble with the financial institutions for funding this thing, putting together the crowdfunding. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
That is, geez, you fire away with questions about that.
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, you can boil it down.
Yeah. It's nightmare. I mean, basically everything that you think you don't know when you're raising money for a project like this. Nothing can be trusted, and everything can change. And the problem is that to do, okay, let me just say specifics. Okay, so let's just go with the first crowdfund. Okay, so we put it on one of the crowdfunding sites. I don't even want to give them the attention, We put it on this loser crowdfunding site, right? And so they saw the project, and then they got into the international news, had massive amount of traffic. Okay, the hits were just insane at the time. Like I said, it was more than Donald Trump. So that in the UK, so that means that, and that's comments. I mean, it's just like, it was crazy, man. My site went down, everything went down. Like, it was just insane. My inbox was just like, I still haven't read all the emails, There's too many. So I missed tons of interviews, because it was just like, I had no idea what was going on. Nobody did. So we put it on a crowdfunding site. The crowdfunding site link is in the news stories. Okay, so this is something I can't change afterwards. It's permanently in the stories, right? And people started giving money. And then the site, after like 5 days, all of a sudden it really picked up, and I started getting emails from families wanting to give like $250,000 and $50,000, and people are very interested in seeing this thing happen. And just at that time, the crowdfunding site goes down. Now they don't even bother to call me. Okay, think about that. I have the most popular thing going on, or one of the most popular things. This is like second-rate crowdfunding site, so it's not even like the big one. It's not Kickstarter, and they know about this. They're not stupid. They know about this project. It's been going on for 5 days now, just insanity, right? And they suddenly take it down, and they refund the money, and they send me an email. I can send it to you guys if you want, but it's just like completely different story than what later happened. Was the Washington Post called them, and they gave a completely different story of what they wrote in the email, and basically saying it's a crazy project, and crazy projects can't be allowed, kind of thing, and harm is. It was completely different, and so what I can't say. Okay, who caused them to do that? I would guess, the standard businessman side of me would say probably lawyers and insurance companies and banks. One of those three, and maybe all three, right, would say, hey, you can't do this project. But they knew damn well about the project. Everybody knew about it. It was out there. And they let it go on. And then they canceled it, and they gave everybody their money back. And so then I'm sitting here with tons of links, all my traffic going to a site who just screwed me over so royally. And now they're getting all this, these hits, all this value. I'm giving them all this value. They're refunding my money. They're not even bothering to talk to me. Okay? Not even bothering to call or email, like a personal email. Hey, Paul, can you answer some questions? We would like to know about this. Well, about nothing. Just, it's so hard for the small guys to succeed in this world. Because when you do get something going, it's just like the institutions can just screw you over, and there's no recourse, because we had all this stuff going on. And I don't want to make it a sad story, but I mean, it really is. It is tough, right? And I think everybody can relate to that. The credit companies, if they give you bad credit score or whatever, you're screwed, and there's so many things in this world that institutions control our destiny. And so I saw this, and I was like, oh, man. So then I started getting a lot of guys like yourself, and you guys are calling me saying, hey, like, try this, try that, try this, try that. And basically, you can't try something like this. It's too big. I can't tell everybody to give money to another bank, and then they're just gonna refund the money too, right? Because I started finding out that basically everybody's saying they wouldn't take it. So then I'm like, okay, what can I do? So I'm just trying to think, okay, what can I do? So I had a Bitcoin link up, but most people don't know how to use Bitcoin, don't understand Bitcoin. So I'm like, okay, people don't know Bitcoin, right? So we need something with regular currency. So I asked all my friends, and I found out that one of my friends has a friend who owns a payment gateway, which is, there's not that many payment gateways in the world. But basically 4 payment gateways control our future, essentially, when it comes to making money online. And so one of the big payment gateways that does like more edgy stuff, like they'll take money for porn, they'll take money for, anything that's legal kind of company. So I said, okay, these are the most likely company. Now they have very high fees, of course, but they're the most likely to take the project. So I talked to the president. This time I'm learning my lesson, right? I called the president, and I get him on the line, and he's like, I love the project. He's like, go for it. He's like, we'll support you all the way. So I'm like, and I have many emails with him. He's all stoked, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I said, what do I need to do? And he said, well, you need to set up an LLC. And he gave me advice. He was super helpful. And he's like, you do it in Nevada. So you get the idea of how much trouble it is to change something. It's not just simply as just saying, hey, let's try this new thing. Let's try this other bank. Let's try this other, it's not that easy. It's even hard to get it started, not to mention tell everybody about it and getting everybody on the same page and getting the word out and everything. So then he's like, okay, so then I started, the process of getting an LLC set up in the U.S. and I'm doing, this is like a serious thing. You have like yearly accounting you have to pay for. It's no joke setting up a company.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing this, and then I get this email I talked to the bank. We can't do it. Good luck. And so this is like the most hardcore legal way to take money is saying can't do it. And I'm talking to the president, and he's through a friend of mine, and he loves the project personally. Okay, so I know for a fact he loved the project. So because he was like, he was like super enthusiastic, and he even said he wanted to fly over to Thailand to hang out. So I knew this guy. Yeah, he was totally into it. He was like, "This is a great project. I really think you should do this." But he said we called the bank. The bank said no way. So the bank won't take no bank, and then people say just off the cuff they'll just say like random things like Chinese banks. I mean, look, I have a Chinese banks. I don't know what people think that there's like some magic world out there where everything's easy. Where there's like leprechauns and stuff and unicorns. It's not. Banks are banks. I mean, banks are banks wherever you go. They act very similar and they do international deals, and they have laws and things like that. They have presidents, they have risk, lawyers, and all this stuff that we have in the U.S. And the Chinese banks, there is no way they would. I know for a fact they wouldn't take this. I mean, actually, American banks would be much more likely to take it than a Chinese bank because they don't want any trouble, at all in China and stuff like this. So, a lot of people were just saying stuff like, just without any knowledge of how it all works. And I mean, it's cool. They're trying to help. Everybody's trying to help, and that's cool. It's just frustrating for me because it's so serious for me, the money thing. Because if the banks can stop a project like this, essentially, what else can they stop? What else? What other control of our lives do they have that we didn't even know about? I was never anti-banks. I have a lot of friends who are very anti-banks, and they talk about all the time. Entrepreneurs. I've never been anti-banks, but when I saw this, I thought, man, this is really, really weird, really lame that we can't even take money for a legal project. There's nothing illegal about this project. It's been done before.
Yeah.
Planes have been crashed before. We're going to have insurance. We're going to have a team of test pilots that are just like beyond reproach, who've experienced, and they've done it on camera. It's been filmed. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing unknown about this. It's been done, and the banks won't take money. So, I don't know who's behind it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just lawyers. Maybe it's just insurance companies. Maybe it's banks not wanting to touch something like this. Maybe it's governments contacting them saying we'd appreciate it if you don't do this. I have no idea. And if I don't have the facts, I'm not going to say I do. So I don't have the facts. But I can tell you this, that it is impossible to get a bank to take the money for this. And getting Bitcoin is not easy because it's so difficult to buy. You guys ever bought Bitcoin before?
No. Nope.
Okay. Bitcoin's awesome, by the way. You should definitely, if you should go to localbitcoins.com and buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. You'll have a good time. It's fun.
Yeah, I have an acquaintance who does the mining.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, buy $1 worth of Bitcoin from him, and then send me like 25 cents. I'll send it back to you. You'll get to see what it's like. Either way, Bitcoin's awesome, but because no one controls Bitcoin, no one can stop Bitcoin.
Right.
That's the big advantage to a currency like that, because we are under the control of the banks. We can't do what they don't want us to do, because how do you raise the money? Now, we can do it because I have a ton of wealthy friends, and it's not a lot of money. It's $1 million and a half, whatever it's going to end up costing. It's not a ton of money for a rich guy. So we can definitely do the project, and we're definitely moving forward. But as far as right now, at this point, crowdfunding is difficult.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to donate, I mean, let me know. I can tell you off camera. I can tell you where to send the money. But if I put it online, if I put anything online, it's going to be just shut down. We even made, so at one point, we even made a T-shirt, and we put a $50 price on it, so it was just basically a donation, way to take donations, and that got taken down. Our T-shirt got taken down, and it was totally cool T-shirt, by the way. It was totally cool design. My friend made it. It was awesome, and we're going to put it back up. We'll have the T-shirt back up soon. We put up one without the logo, without the design, but that's lame. We're going to do a 9/11 Redux T-shirt again, and people can buy that if you want to wear that. But it's at this point now. I'm looking like we'd like to get small donors. We'd like to get big donors, and the other obviously option is this is obviously an interesting project that people want to see, and there's a good chance that the documentary about this will be very profitable. So if someone wants to invest and take a percentage of the documentary, that's totally fine too. However we can get it done, I want to get it done.
Right.
I don't really care. Whatever we need to do. If we need to tell 2 documentaries, the making of and the actual crash itself, that's fine too. And someone can invest in those and then get a percentage of the royalties and sell those to BBC, Discovery, and stuff like that. So I think that the documentary, once it's done, they'll play it because it's like a project like this. Once it gets more, like you were asking about which location, right? The more legitimate this gets, the more it's just gonna they're just gonna give in and it'll happen, right? It's kind of like Bitcoin. If they would have stopped, if they could have, if the government was smart enough to understand Bitcoin in the beginning, they would have realized that it's a very, very clever technology that can't be hacked. So they would have said, oh, geez, we better take this seriously. We got to stop people from converting dollars to Bitcoin right away. If they would have done that, they could have killed Bitcoin in the beginning.
Right.
But because they assumed it was some dumb idea, it wasn't going to work, and they just let it continue on, and they don't know anything about encryption and about the way it works. They didn't study it. They just assumed it was some dumb idea like coupons or something, and they let it grow to a certain point, and then now it's too big. It's just too big, right? The Chinese mine it and buy it, and Japanese are really into it, and it's like a legal currency someplace. It's too big now to stop, right? And so same with our project. Once we get to a certain level, it's just going to happen. Like all the barriers will break down, and it's just going to go on, just like anything else, and people will accept it, and it'll be mainstream. I mean, look, Washington Post already took it seriously, so I mean, we're halfway there, really.
Right. We just needed to get a little more out in the open over here in the U.S. It took me a while to stumble across it, and I'm in that type of stuff all the time.
Oh, okay. Where did you stumble on it, by the way?
I actually found it someone had posted it in some group I was in Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I originally found it, and then it was a link to one of them articles that we had discussed earlier, and I was like, all right. So naturally I had to know more. So, and then I just kept finding like the same thing, reworded a little bit, and over again until, like I said, till I found your actual site.
Oh, okay, right. So you kept digging. Honestly, that's very rare. Very rare. Most people, they just see one article, they take that as gospel. Here's the story, and then, like I said, so many of these articles, they didn't even watch the video. I mean, if they think I'm a truther after watching the video,
yeah.
Basically, the conclusion they could make is that it was just all a complete lie, because I'm not a truther, and I say it directly in the video. But at the same time, I'm very sympathetic to people that have doubts and want to find out more. And a lot of my friends are truthers and believe in different various things. And I'm sympathetic. I volunteer a lot at hospitals, for mentally ill people, and also people with drug problems and things like that. A lot of speeches at jails and institutions. And I often am the last. Like I often am helping people who are like having serious problems, and like even mental issues and things like that. And they stick to me because I'm tough, but I take them seriously at the same time, But you know what I mean? Like I don't blow people off because they don't have the same opinion as me.
Right.
And I'll stick with them long term. And I have so many friends who I've helped, like from different situations like that. They call me every year and they're just like, I'm so glad that you helped me and you stuck with me. And it's just my personality. This is the way I am. I can see both sides. I want to dig in. I want to find out how we can fix this thing. How we can figure this thing out.
We've got a question for you from the YouTube chat. He wants to know if you gave any consideration to the age of the buildings in comparison to the trade centers and the weight of the normal fixtures that would be found on all the floors, factoring in people and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. I would put this into the great question. I would put that into the leaning towards the is it going to be perfect question. Okay. So
right.
The is it going to be perfect question would be like, can you go back in time to 1971, make a building with the same architect, the same steel they made at that time, the same design, right? The same bolts, right? and build it in the same with the same foundation, yeah, and then have it up for a certain amount of decades, and then the same temperature of the same and the same exact angle, and have everybody inside the building or dummies that are exact weight of everybody, and have the same, you know what I mean, the same brand of, it like people get really like details about like if it's not perfect, it's not perfect,
Right.
And the thing is that look, in some things in life, they're never going to be perfect. You just have to, you really have to say to yourself, I am an intelligent person, okay? And I can do a test that will teach me something. What is it called? Like a helpless person. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're saying essentially. Most people, I don't know if this guy is, but most people, what they're saying when they're asked this question, they're saying like, you can't do it. It can't be perfect. It's not going to learn, you're not going to learn anything. That's a common comment. Right. You're not going to learn anything from this experiment. And then the other one is, you're not a scientist, But if you look at Thomas Edison, like, he wasn't a scientist either. They hired scientists to work for him. He had like a few months of training, schooling. And then he basically had other scientists come in and work at his lab. And then he was very interested in science. He was very interested in inventions, and he brought a lot of stuff in and then learned a lot. So, and obviously the things that came out of his lab were incredible. So you don't have to be a scientist. It doesn't have to be, with some experiments have to be exactly the same. So if you're testing a cancer drug, it has to be recreatable by another scientist to be valid, and it has to be recreatable a certain amount of times. There's very specific rules. And that's why science is so tough. That's why people don't want to be scientists, really, because it's like a brutal field, really. Like real science is brutal, right? It's not a fun thing because you never get what you want. It never happens the way you wanted it. It always fails in the end. And that's why the benefits are so big when you finally figure out something new, which is so difficult to do, right? It's so difficult to do, to think of something brand new and then to have it actually work, Well,
it's like going back to like what we were discussing earlier. The physics should still be very similar, whether it's the same exact steel or the same exact furniture and weight load from people. The physics of the event should still be similar.
Right. There should be something similar. I mean, if nothing is similar at all, then you have to ask questions. You just have to. Any intelligent person. Right. And the thing I think that the other thing that's hiding in these kind of questions is the guy who wrote that question. I guarantee doesn't have a crowdfunding site right now, or he's not self-funding a similar crash. Okay, so he's basically doing nothing to find out. Okay, he's sitting in his bedroom or whatever, taking a break from his video game or whatever, getting off work, having a beer, rates his question. He's not going to do anything, and nobody else on this planet is trying to recreate this event, except me. Okay, so if you want this project, you don't have a lot of options.
Yeah, I don't really see any way you can get it exactly the same. I mean, going back to again, like what I said, what we said, there should be something similar. I mean, physics is global, right?
Right. There should be something similar, and then, like I said, the other aspect of it is do you want to do nothing, or do you want to try? Like, because that's the other option. The other option is to go to Starbucks, have another cappuccino, right? Really, that's the other option.
Pretty much.
And so you're either going to have a cappuccino, or you're going to fly a plane at 500 miles an hour as fast as you can into a building and find out what happens. Which you're going to learn more about. Which one do you choose?
Well, now I'm not a pilot. I'm not a physicist either. But I have heard that from several different people that you can't even get that fast in one of those planes. Yeah.
Right. And the theory, a lot of people that have to kind of talk about that, because their theory is that the plane was a military conversion. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of interesting things about the planes. They had been refitted with 747 engines, not 767 engines, and they were extended range, so they had extra gas in them, extra fuel, and so the like a UPS or military plane, they've been refitted
strengthened. They can go, they're stronger than sand. So they're going to upgrade. So the military.
You're breaking up.
So,
Yeah, your connection is getting pretty weak. We do have to hit a break though. If you want, you're more welcome to come back. We could talk some more.
Absolutely.
All right, we're gonna hit. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Let me know. I'll go downstairs. It should be a little better there.
Okay. Yeah. It should just be a few minutes.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Ron from Ron to the Hills, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 757-848-5920. Shoot us an email at ronhillsshow@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook /Ron to the Hills. And now you can Skype us at ronnie.hills2. Come on, join the Hill people today.
RadioFreeradio.com.
At this point in the show, I always like to remind everybody to go to patreon.com/radiofreeradio, because if you go there, you give $1 to our Patreon page, become a patron of the station, and you get everything we put out. Yeah, 16 hours of content weekly and growing. And, maybe that's enough for you. Maybe just the 16 hours is enough because it'll get you through your workday. You can listen to however many shows a day it takes you to get through your workday. If that's enough for you, cool. But really what you are doing is you're keeping this little tiny internet radio station afloat. You are giving us hope, and each time we see a new patron come aboard, I cannot tell you what it means to us to see so many people jumping on board.
It does. It means a lot, because it's not just here's $1, give me some content. It's here's $1, I believe in what you guys are doing.
Exactly.
And we appreciate that so much.
Radio Free Radio. Radio Free Radio.
Radio Free Radio.
And we got that air. You there, Paul? Oh. Hey, guys. Dropped the connection there for a second. We'll be back with you shortly. Have some more conversations. You guys want to call up the number, get in on the conversation. We could put you right in with Mr. Salo. I'm going to go ahead and reconnect with him now. Oh. Just another minute. So, guys, what do you think of the show so far? Anybody left in there? Hey, Paul.
Hello. Hey. Hey, guys. Yeah, so thanks for the old break there. I could use that. Yeah, so basically what I was saying before is about the planes. One of the conspiracy theories is that it was a military plane. It was refitted. There wasn't people on there, and that story makes no sense to me personally, because I'm open-minded to hearing about stories, but like, where did all the people go?
Right.
And there was real people who got on those planes. Like, where did they go? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, just logically, there's no way, right? I mean, there's hundreds of people, and then the plane flew in daylight, so it's like, come on, that doesn't happen. But either way, that's the theory, is that it was a modified flight. So the pilots that I've spoken to, okay, I have a very good friend who's a pilot who's consulting on this, and he said that he doesn't think it could fly at that speed. That's what he thinks. And we talked to an aeronautical engineer who helped us with the plan from the UK, and he said the same thing. He doesn't think it's capable of going that fast, and he thinks that actually we're going to use the Freedom of Information Act to request some documents, because we actually think this might be the first major discrepancy that we found, is that the planes did not hit at the same speed as they say, and that there's a significant discrepancy in the speed. They said 500 or something. We've got it. I don't want to give the stats here because it's my I have a guy who actually wrote the plan for us, and he's actually a vice president of a bank, very smart guy. He doesn't want his name public, but he did all the research on this, and I don't have the stats with me. But he can answer in an email to anybody who wants to know. But basically, we're saying right now our theory or assumption is that they did actually go at the same speed, and it was a big difference here in speed, because planes just simply can't go at sea level. So it's interesting, right? If that was the case, if there was a significant difference in the speed the planes were going and the speeds that they said were going, that would be a big red flag for me.
Right. Didn't they garner that data from black boxes?
But they lost the black boxes.
Oh, they lost the black boxes.
There was no black box.
Oh, there was no black boxes, huh? Oh, maybe I'm thinking about the Pentagon. That's right, with the maneuver. Oh, we don't have to go into that, though. Yeah, that's what.
That was another thing we were going to request in the Freedom of Information, to find out which black boxes were found, because we actually don't know. There's a lot of people saying that all of them disappeared, or some of them disappeared. There's a lot of weird stuff about the black boxes, like why can't we hear the recordings that were made on there? Why aren't those public?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not getting this information? If they exist, why wouldn't they just make it public? Why wouldn't they, really?
That's kind of like the surveillance video surrounding the Pentagon, and they just released those, what was it, 6 frames?
Right.
There was tons and tons of surveillance videos. I actually talked to these guys that did a documentary about that. It was called the North Side Flyover. And basically what they found was...
Ooh, I want to see that.
I believe it was called the Pentagon. North Side Flyover. They actually went back, got all the TV clips of, the eyewitnesses, and went back and found them again, several years later, and re-interviewed them. And what they found was that all of the eyewitness testimony of seeing the plane completely contradicted the official story of which way the plane came in at. And from what they say is the plane came in and did like a corkscrew thing around and then skirted the ground and hit the Pentagon. I'm not sure if you're familiar with pilots for 9/11 Truth, but they actually were saying that that's practically impossible. Like even the best trained pilots couldn't pull that off. But that data was supposedly reconstructed from the black boxes.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting, the different. You mentioned the different groups, like the 9/11 Truths and all the pilots and everything. It's that's been an interesting thing for me too. Is I found that a lot of the people I've talked to, who are in these different groups, don't want this accident to happen. It's almost like if you're a researcher for some subject, right, and you're getting paid and you have like a career based on it, you don't want it to be disproved, right? You know what I mean? Because this is where your career is now, or your pride or whatever, is based on this being true, right?
I'm sorry. I have mixed feelings about it myself too. I mean, years and years ago, I was literally the guy in the street with the tinfoil hat handing out copies of loose change and holding up 9/11 Truth bounty signs. So, I'm not ashamed. I'm a truther. I don't believe what they said is the truth, and I really believe in the controlled demolition theory.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense the way they fell. I mean, definitely that's not a that's a viable. I mean, yeah, that's the way they fall when they do controlled demolition,
Hmm.
and that's usually not the way they fall when they fall
And
random.
you're right. With the pancake collapse, the acceleration was just too great. It should have slowed down way before it hit the bottom.
Right. 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 And then steel buildings usually don't fall like that. They don't melt.
Yeah,
If you're making a campfire and you have some nice kindling and you have some paper and then you have some steel bars and you want to cook some steaks, you probably wouldn't put those steel bars in there too fast.
And another thing too is people need to think about is that the Trade Center is a lot of steel, so that's essentially a giant heat sink. So for it to have the level of temperature, like they're saying that the fire weakened the steel over what was it, 45 minutes?
I don't really remember.
I can't remember off the top. But yeah, I mean that fire is essentially a heat sink, so it's not like taking a small piece of steel and heating it up. I mean, you're essentially taking a railroad iron and heating it up compared to a screw.
Right. And you're talking about all the pillars on each angle because otherwise it wouldn't have fallen straight down. So they all, you know what I mean? Yeah, like you say, like it was very even heat, right?
Hmm. So like yeah, I don't know. I have problems with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of things that you could say. I'd like to know more, and like a lot of people think. I guess I've done some pretty crazy things in my life. I've been involved in some things that you would think is impossible to do. If I tell you the story of this one in particular, you'd be like, no way. But I did them, and so I know they're true. But I think with these kind of things, you have to take them with a grain of salt. But it's such an unusual event, you can't just immediately say, "Hey, this is bullshit," or "This is not," a conspiracy. Because in real life, things are complicated, right?
Right.
Going to the moon. My dad did an answer. He worked at Titusville. He worked on the launch pad. And so a lot of people say we didn't go to the moon. And my dad was looking at so he worked on the moon part. He worked on the space shuttle.
You're breaking up really badly again.
Okay, let me do this. I'm not walking this down. Maybe I'll really walk this. You guys think I'm there for a second, and then it should be better when I get down there. Oh, we have to try with a little bit of road traffic sounds. Let's see, coming down here. All right, how's that now?
Oh, much better.
Is it better? Okay.
Oh wait, now it's kicking out again. They just don't want you to talk about this tonight, do they?
Okay, how's that now?
Yeah, that's we can work with that.
Okay, I'm right underneath the right. So, okay, so let's see what we're at. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, we're still got a pretty bad connection.
Okay, just call me back in 1 second. When you restart the connection overseas, that often fixes everything.
Okay.
You call me right back.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Time.
It's a pretty good conversation we got going on
Yeah.
here, though, man. We see a little bit in chat here. There's one of y'all, two of y'all in there, and we appreciate y'all sticking with it. This guy is pretty compelling.
Jeez, that thing again. All right. How we sounded?
Yeah. So yeah, you can't assume that something's a conspiracy right off the bat. And I think any reasonable person would say that. So we have to look at these unusual events with a critical eye, but also with an open-minded eye. Because I mean, let's put it this way: if it was a real event, right, it just happened, just like you said, it's pretty outrageous just not to believe it, right? You know what I mean? It's like saying she didn't really have a baby. She just had a baby. She's feeling terrible. She needs rest. It's like, get to work. You didn't have a baby. It's like, you have to be cognizant of both sides, right? When you're doing something like this, So I am, and I realize that we have to. There is a line somewhere. There's a line. At the same time as we have the right to research this and to do this, but at the same time, you just can't doubt everything because if you've done anything in your life, you realize that real life doesn't always work out as clean as people say, or more outrageous things happen than would even happen in movies.
Mhm.
You know. So it's that's the exciting thing about doing complex projects and being involved in things in real life. You know, is it often works out different than you thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, I take them both seriously. I don't want to make fun of this thing was because the further we get into this, I think like my project manager, the bank vice president, he's becoming less conspiracy as we go, as we get more research.
Mhm.
So I mean that's fine. That's that is the natural. I mean, I want people to really be using their brain. I'm not looking for people who are just going to pick one side and be consistent.
Right.
I mean, that's just ridiculous to me. No, we need to find out. If we find out whichever way is fine with my team, I didn't want a team. I didn't want to pick any of those other groups because they tend to have one perspective.
Mhm.
That's my kind of feeling, and I think that's maybe why they didn't get so much attention because people are like, well, these guys are biased. That I think that was what the public thought, and they said this guy actually wants to find out. So maybe that's what the difference is why we're going to be able to go through with the project. But I wish everybody well who's putting money and energy into that down the line. It's all I don't appreciate something like a fixed mindset. One way, no, I know exactly. That happened. Who did it? Why did it? I know everything, and then you talk to them, and they never talk to anybody. Except for the guys writing the story about it.
Right.
It's like, to find out, it's fine if somebody knows. If somebody knows everything, I'm open to that. I mean, that's how life is. You have to listen to people. You often can find out amazing things by having open ears.
Mhm.
Geez, I mean, if somebody just talking out of that, crazy. So there's a fine line there. It's a fine line. Because some people think it's crazy just to even think about this.
Yeah, I don't understand that much. I mean, I'm willing to accept what we find. I mean, or what you find. I'm pretty firm in believing that it's not going to go down the way it went down on 9/11. But I could be proven wrong, and I take new information and I process it and I change my mind. I mean, it happens. Like your buddy, or your project manager. But
yeah. One last thing I'll say, a story about a friend of mine who was the other motivation for this. He's like really into conspiracies all of a sudden. This guy's a very, very successful guy who I've known for over 20 years. And he believes in the flat earth. And I said to him, yeah, he believes in the flat earth. So I said to him, just before I made that video, the first one, I said to him, his name's Mark, I said, Mark, look, if you believe in the flat earth, right, I said, look, let's get a boat. I said, what do you think it is? You think there's a border somewhere or something? And he says, yeah, I think the U.S. military is guarding it in the border. I said, look, because his job is pretty flexible. Let's just get a boat right now. Let's go down and get a boat, and let's rent a boat because he's got tons of money and he's got friends. So I said, like, let's get a boat. Let's go to the border. Let's go find it right now. Let's go film it. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, let's get a goddamn boat and let's go down to the border and let's take pictures, and then and let's also buy a balloon and let's put on some GoPros and let's get that thing up into orbit like that kid did in the UK, for like 200 pounds. And let's try to take some pictures of the curved space. I mean, let's actually do something. And he was like freaking out. He was like, and then I realized that some people they don't want to know, but they have this theory that they know everything. So these are the type of people I don't want on the project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even though they can be friends, and he's actually a good guy, and I don't know why he thinks this way, but about this right now. But I actually was worried that he had a brain tumor. Actually, really, I was trying to get him to finish life because it was so unlike him before to act like this and suddenly be everything a conspiracy. And who knows? I tried to get him out. I got doctor to go down there. So, it's just not that we have such a personality change so quickly. That's so serious. But so I'm not saying that everybody. People have serious problems. People have physical problems. It's not just mental stuff. Sometimes somebody will have a certain issue and then they'll clear it up. So,
Right.
No need to laugh at people. There's no need to make fun of people. Just look into the situation, do your best to help, find out what's going on. Sometimes the craziest ideas are true. So, that's,
Right. I
that's
mean, I try to look into all of it. I looked into that flat Earth stuff too myself. I mean, just because I'm a curious person, and I look into all of that stuff.
right. Sure.
But Paul, we do gotta go. But I would love to have you back again sometime. This was totally my fault. We should have had the whole 2 hours, but.
Oh, no worries. Mine too. Yeah. So sorry about that. Yeah.
Do you have any information you'd like to give out?
Oh yeah, let us get your website and your social media, all that stuff.
Okay. The main thing is to subscribe to the YouTube channel for now, because my YouTube channel, although I do have different videos on there, on my personal Paul Salo YouTube channel, that's where for now we'll have all the Redux updates, and we also will have an email list. So what they should do is go to paulsalo.com, PAULSALO. So like I said, Paul Salo, and .com, and then we'll have. I don't have the widget on there right now, but hopefully by tomorrow we'll have an email list on there. And what I want to have is one place people can come for information. So you don't have to look around the web, read everything to find out what's the next step. What's our problem now? What's our situation? What have we accomplished? What have we obstacles we overcome? They can get it from the email, and I'll write an email update time, letting them know everything that's happening. But for now, go to the channel, and it's magic for 14. To be honest, we do a personalized one more than 18. But you can send them. If you search Paul Salo YouTube.
Man, I really apologize, but we probably didn't get that last 45 seconds of what you just said. So it's it's PAULSALO.com, correct?
Yeah.
And you could find him on YouTube. Just go into YouTube, search his name, same thing, and for all your 9/11 Redux updates.
Yeah. All right, Paul, we thank you for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, it was very, very great conversation. And like I said, I'd love to have you back again if you're into that.
Totally. That was really enjoyable to talk to you guys. It's really nice and yeah, it was perfect. You guys really nailed it.
All right.
Thanks, Paul. It was good talking to you, man. Yep. I'll be in touch.
Yeah, please send me a link so I can download that. Then it would come the whole show.
Oh, sure
I'd
will.
I'd love to put that up on my site and get more people to listen to your show.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, and then you just hear. I think the thing is that there's a lot of people who are potential listeners for your show, but the mainstream, right? But the mainstream is scared of people that are too tinfoil, right?
Right.
So, but they're actually secretly interested. So there's a mass amount of people you're probably not getting that you could get. So I want to bring in those guys, because those are the guys that are getting interested in Redux.
Yeah.
It's just the kind of regular people who they don't feel like they have the, it's right for them to doubt it, they feel guilty about doubting it because their dad's in the military, this and that. But then they think, well, how the hell did, Building 7 fucking fall down with no plane?
Yeah, that's just...
Yeah. We did a whole show on that one.
Yeah, we
right?
did. We did a whole show on Building 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, well,
yeah, so there's a lot of people like you guys who just have this doubt. The key is to get them not to think you're crazy, and to think that you're interesting and that they're going to learn something on your show.
Yeah, that's very true. It's one
and
of the
then
things.
you'll get tons